see that Citarum River in 7 years will be the cleanest river.
I commend Indonesia for really being at the forefront of this environmental battle to fight the pollution epidemic. It has opened up a discussion on pollution on a national level.
Fakultas Hukum Universitas Katolik Parahyangan didirikan Fakultas Hukum Universitas Katolik Parahyangan didirikan pada tahun 1958 dan merupakan fakultas hukum swasta tertua di Indonesia. Dalam usianya yang sudah lebih dari 60 tahun, Fakultas Hukum Universitas Katolik Parahyangan secara konsisten mendapat akreditasi A dan termasuk dalam kelompok fakultas hukum terbaik di Indonesia. Di antara jajaran mantan dekan Fakultas Hukum Unpar, ada 2 Ketua Mahkamah Agung dan 1 Menteri Kehakiman Republik Indonesia. Visi dari Fakultas Hukum Unpar adalah menjadi komunitas akademik yang menghasilkan lulusan pendidikan tinggi hukum yang memiliki rasa, rasio, raga, dan rukun untuk mewujudkan keadilan dan kebenaran berdasarkan Pancasila.
Berdasarkan visi tersebut, misi kita adalah menyelenggarakan Tridharma Perguruan Tinggi senafas dengan sesanti kita, Baku Nimyang, Briguna, Sancaya Bakti, berdasarkan ketuhanan, menuntut ilmu untuk dibaktikan kepada masyarakat.
Nama saya Hadisti, saya mahasiswa Fakultas Hukum Unpar Angkatan 2016. Diterima di Fakultas Hukum Unpar, sejak awal sudah merupakan kebanggaan tersendiri untuk diri saya. Sejak orientasi, mahasiswa baru sudah diajak untuk turut berperan aktif, serta dipacu agar bersikap inisiatif. Kegiatan seperti sharing dan tanya jawab bersama alumni, serta mahasiswa berprestasi merupakan salah satu dari contoh kegiatannya. Dari hal ini, semangat belajar dan motivasi untuk membangun dapat langsung diterapkan dalam benak mahasiswa. Pembelajaran di Fakultas Hukum Unpar dibungkus dengan cara-cara yang menarik. Tiap dosen memiliki kiat-kiatnya tersendiri. Diskusi, pemberian kuis, visit lembaga, Sejak awal sudah disusun oleh para dosen untuk melatih sikap adaptif dan ketangkasan dari para mahasiswanya. Fakultas Hukum Unpar juga dilengkapi dengan berbagai fasilitas yang dapat menunjang kegiatan dari mahasiswanya, seperti lab hukum, seminar dan workshop secara reguler, ruang moot court, dan IDE Unpar. Pada IDE Unpar itu sendiri, mahasiswa dapat mengakses materi perkuliahan, mengumpulkan tugas, serta langsung berkomunikasi dengan dosen yang bersangkutan. Selain itu, Fakultas Hukum Unpar juga memiliki wilayah yang strategis, suasana yang tenang, dekat dengan berbagai coffee shop, dan juga udara yang sejuk dapat menunjang kegiatan dari para mahasiswanya. Harapan untuk kedepannya, semoga apa yang didapatkan selama pembelajaran dalam Fakultas Hukum Unpar dapat bermanfaat bagi diri mahasiswa itu sendiri serta masyarakat di masa yang mendatang.
Dosen-dosen di Fakultas Hukum Unpar mencakup seluruh bidang ilmu hukum dan berasal dari universitas terkemuka di dalam dan luar negeri. Sekitar 40% dari tenaga pengajar bergelar doktor. Cukup banyak kesempatan bagi dosen untuk mengembangkan kepakaran lewat penelitian dan publikasi, baik di dalam maupun luar negeri. Fakultas Hukum Unpar sendiri sudah memiliki jurnal Hukum Veritas yang terakreditasi Kemenristek-Dikti. Sejak awal, Fakultas Hukum Unpar memiliki komitmen yang kuat untuk berkontribusi terhadap kemajuan bangsa Indonesia, khususnya di Tatar Sunda. Salah satunya dengan berbagai kegiatan pengabdian masyarakat. Selain itu, dosen-dosen Fakultas Hukum Unpar selama ini banyak berkontribusi dalam penyusunan peraturan perundang-undangan nasional dan daerah, serta aktif dalam berbagai kegiatan kemasyarakatan. Lembaga Bantuan Hukum Unpar menjadi wadah bagi dosen dan mahasiswa untuk mempraktekkan ilmu yang telah didapat, khususnya kepada mereka yang kurang mampu dan membutuhkan bantuan hukum. Selain itu, setiap tahunnya, Himpunan Mahasiswa Fakultas Hukum Unpar mengadakan kegiatan Bina Desa sebagai wujud pengabdian kepada masyarakat Jawa Barat. Himpunan Mahasiswa Program Studi Ilmu Hukum atau HMPSIH menjadi wadah untuk melatih hard skills maupun soft skills mereka melalui kegiatan-kegiatan antara lain penyelenggaraan kompetisi di bidang hukum, pengabdian masyarakat, olahraga, serta kegiatan seni. Selain itu, mahasiswa dapat memilih untuk bergabung dalam komunitas kegiatan tertentu, yaitu Forward 198, PILS, KMPSN, TLDC, KPK. Didukung oleh fakultas dan para dosen, para mahasiswa yang tergabung dalam komunitas-komunitas di atas dapat berkompetisi di tingkat nasional, bahkan sampai tingkat internasional. Kompetisi yang sering diikuti diantaranya adalah kompetisi peradilan semu nasional dan internasional, kompetisi kontrak atau constitutional drafting, serta kompetisi debat hukum. Begitu banyak prestasi serta pencapaian membanggakan yang telah diraih oleh mahasiswa Fakultas Hukum Unpar, baik pada tingkat nasional maupun internasional.
Jerry, you will see that Citarum River in 7 years will be the cleanest river.
I commend Indonesia for really being at the forefront of this environmental battle to fight the pollution epidemic. It has opened up a discussion on pollution.
Fakultas Hukum Universitas Katolik Parahyangan didirikan pada tahun 1958 dan merupakan fakultas hukum swasta tertua di Indonesia. Dalam usianya yang sudah lebih dari 60 tahun, Fakultas Hukum Universitas Katolik Parahyangan secara konsisten mendapat akreditasi A dan termasuk dalam kelompok fakultas hukum terbaik di Indonesia. Di antara jajaran mantan dekan Fakultas Hukum Unpar, ada 2 Ketua Mahkamah Agung dan 1 Menteri Kehakiman Republik Indonesia. Visi dari Fakultas Hukum Unpar adalah menjadi komunitas akademik yang menghasilkan lulusan pendidikan tinggi hukum yang memiliki rasa, rasio, raga, dan rukun untuk mewujudkan keadilan dan kebenaran berdasarkan Pancasila.
Berdasarkan visi tersebut, misi kita adalah menyelenggarakan Tridharma perguruan tinggi senafas dengan sesama kita, baku nimyang, briguna, sancaya bakti, berdasarkan ketuhanan, menuntut ilmu untuk dibaktikan kepada masyarakat.
Nama saya Hadisti, saya mahasiswa Fakultas Hukum Unpar angkatan 2016. Diterima di Fakultas Hukum Unpar, sejak awal sudah merupakan kebanggaan tersendiri untuk diri saya. Sejak orientasi, mahasiswa baru sudah diajak untuk turut berperan aktif, serta dipacu agar bersikap inisiatif. Kegiatan seperti sharing dan tanya jawab bersama alumni, serta mahasiswa berprestasi merupakan salah satu dari contoh kegiatannya. Dari hal ini, semangat belajar dan motivasi untuk membangun dapat langsung diterapkan dalam benak mahasiswa. Pembelajaran di Fakultas Hukum Unpar dibungkus dengan cara-cara yang menarik. Tiap dosen memiliki kiat-kiatnya tersendiri. Diskusi, pemberian kuis, visit lembaga, sejak awal sudah disusun oleh para dosen untuk melatih sikap adaptif dan ketangkasan dari para mahasiswanya. Fakultas Hukum Unpar juga dilengkapi dengan berbagai fasilitas yang dapat menunjang kegiatan dari mahasiswanya, seperti lab hukum, seminar dan workshop secara reguler, ruang moot court, dan IDE Unpar. Pada IDE Unpar itu sendiri, mahasiswa dapat mengakses materi perkuliahan, mengumpulkan tugas, serta langsung berkomunikasi dengan dosen yang bersangkutan. Selain itu, Fakultas Hukum Unpar juga memiliki wilayah yang strategis, suasana yang tenang, dekat dengan berbagai coffee shop, dan juga udara yang sejuk dapat menunjang kegiatan dari para mahasiswanya. Harapan untuk kedepannya, semoga apa yang didapatkan selama pembelajaran dalam Fakultas Hukum Unpar dapat bermanfaat bagi diri mahasiswa itu sendiri serta masyarakat di masa yang mendatang.
Dosen-dosen di Fakultas Hukum Unpar mencakup seluruh bidang ilmu hukum dan berasal dari universitas terkemuka di dalam dan luar negeri. Sekitar 40% dari tenaga pengajar bergelar doktor. Cukup banyak kesempatan bagi dosen untuk mengembangkan kepakaran lewat penelitian dan publikasi, baik di dalam maupun luar negeri. Fakultas Hukum Unpar sendiri sudah memiliki jurnal Hukum Veritas yang terakreditasi Kemenristek-Dikti. Sejak awal, Fakultas Hukum Unpar memiliki komitmen yang kuat untuk berkontribusi terhadap kemajuan bangsa Indonesia, khususnya di Tatar Sunda. Salah satunya dengan berbagai kegiatan pengabdian masyarakat. Selain itu, dosen-dosen Fakultas Hukum Unpar selama ini banyak berkontribusi dalam penyusunan peraturan perundang-undangan nasional dan daerah, serta aktif dalam berbagai kegiatan kemasyarakatan. Lembaga Bantuan Hukum Unpar menjadi wadah bagi dosen dan mahasiswa untuk mempraktekkan ilmu yang telah didapat, khususnya kepada mereka yang kurang mampu dan membutuhkan bantuan hukum. Selain itu, setiap tahunnya, Himpunan Mahasiswa Fakultas Hukum Unpar mengadakan kegiatan Bina Desa sebagai wujud pengabdian kepada masyarakat Jawa Barat. Himpunan Mahasiswa Program Studi Ilmu Hukum atau HMPSIH menjadi wadah untuk melatih hard skills
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Can we start the seminar? Dr. Yasmira? Okay. Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Good morning, selamat pagi. Salam sejahtera. God bless us all. Good morning, everybody. All of the attendants of this international online seminar that host in collaboration by Universitas Katolik Parahyangan, the Faculty of Law, and also the Asosiasi Profesor and Doktor Indonesia, or the Association of Indonesian Professor and Doctor in Law. Okay. First of all, I think we should thanks to God that we already given time so this morning, in very lovely morning, for myself, and also I think for all of you, we can join this international online seminar with the theme of crimes during the new normal pandemic COVID-19, the comparison in 3 countries: Indonesia, Malaysia, and also France. Okay, before I start this online seminar, first of all, I want to thanks to the committee of this seminar from the Universitas Katolik Parahyangan, and also Asosiasi Profesor and Profesor Doktor Hukum Indonesia, that already chosen me as the host and the moderator of this international online seminar. First of all, sir, ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce myself. I will be your host and moderator in this online seminar. My name is Dr. Henry Aspan. I'm one of the member of Association of Indonesian Law Professors and Doctor Indonesian Law Professor and Doctor in Medan chapter, in North Sumatra chapter, in Medan chapter. I myself is a lecturer in law in the University of Batam, and now I'm in my office in Batam. So thanks to God, with the respect of the victim of this pandemic, but this pandemic make we can join not offline but online, so everybody from anywhere from all of the world can join this event. Like me, I'm the host and the moderator, but I'm sit in my city in Batam, and you all maybe from Medan, Bandung, Jakarta, and maybe other country can join this webinar. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this morning we already have a lot of nice speaker, very smart speaker. I think I can note that we have at least 6 speakers. Okay, our keynote speaker is Dr. Deni Dewi Heniarti. She is a president of Association of Indonesian Law Professors and Doctors. Dr. Dini is here. Okay, we can talk with her later. And the other speaker is Dr. Ahmad Zaharuddin Sani Ahmad Sabri. He is from Malaysia. He is a Special Affairs Department Deputy Director General of Malaysia. And the other speaker is Dr. Tristan Pascal Mulyono, SHMH LLM, and also Mrs. Neva Claudia Meliala, SHMH. Both of them is a lecturer from the Faculty of Law, Parahyangan University. Our other speaker is Dr. Yasmirah Mandasari Saragi, SHMH. He is a General Treasurer of Association of Indonesian Law Professor and Doctor, Chapter North Sumatra. And I know she is also the lecturer in the University of Panchabudi, Medan. And the last but not least, our speaker is Dr. Hilaire Teknen. He is a professor at Sorbonne University, France. So you can see that we at least have 6 speakers from 3 countries: Indonesia, of course, Malaysia, and also from France. All of them will give us a perspective about what we will talk, we will discuss in this online seminar, the crimes during the new normal pandemic COVID-19, comparison in 3 countries, Indonesia, Malaysia, and France. But before we hear any presentation from the speaker, I think it's better for us to thanks to the organizing committee, also the host from the Universitas Katolik Parahyangan, and also the host of this online seminar from the Asosiasi Profesor Dr. Hukum Indonesia, or we can call the Association of Indonesian Law Professors and Doctors. For the first time, I think I want to give the honors to our host from the Universitas Katolik Parahyangan, Faculty of Law, our Dean of the Faculty of Law, Universitas Parahyangan, Dr. Yuris Leona Nanang Supriyatna SHM Home, as the host to give us some opening speech to begin this international online seminar. Dr. Nanang, are you there? The committee, can you unmute the Dr. Nanang? Oh, sorry.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. Dr. Nanang, are you there?
Yes, okay. Of course.
How are you this morning, Dr. Nanang? Are you okay? Are you well? Where are you now?
Good. Thank you. Thank you. Very well. Very good. Hello?
Hello, Dr. Nanang.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to say good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is a pleasure to welcome everyone in this webinar today. Let us praise and give thanks to God for His blessings so that we can virtually gather together in the international seminar on crime during the new normal pandemic COVID-19 in 3 countries, Indonesia, Malaysia, France. On this moment, as a Dean of the Faculty of Law, Parahyangan Catholic University, I would like to extend a special welcome to honorable speakers. The first, Dr. Dini Dewi Heniarti, Presiden Asosiasi Profesor dan Doktor Hukum Indonesia, Associate Professor Dr. Rozia Abu is a lecturer at Faculty of Management Information, University Technology Mara, Malaysia. Professor Dr. Hilary Tegnan from Sorbonne University, France. Dr. Yasmira Saragi, the General Treasurer of Asosiasi Profesor dan Doktor Hukum Indonesia, North Sumatra. Dr. Tristam Mulyono and Neva Claudia as a lecturer at Parahyangan Catholic University. Dr. Alvis Sihombing as a General Secretary, Asosiasi Profesor Dr. Hukum Indonesia. Dr. Yeni as a Chairman at the committee. And our host and moderator, Dr. Henry Aspan, a member of Association Profesor Dr. Hukum Indonesia, North Sumatra. And all the participants. Thank you to each and every one of you for being here with us today. Before we get started, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to all of you who generously helped us make this event to become success. Ladies and gentlemen, COVID-19 has changed the nature of social life. Emerging from Wuhan, a city of more than 11 million people in Hubei province, which is located in China. This is a very high contagious respiratory disease which rapidly spread all over the world. Within months since beginning of 2020, several countries in the world are implementing the lockdown regulation in order to prevent in the increasingly globalized virus. Borders are closed, travels and restricted, businesses are closed, and this must for all of us to stay hygienic. And of course, we can never forget hashtag stay at home. From this case, we all can clearly see that everything has changed, especially how to nature of work and the economy changed dramatically. COVID-19 has had led us to an unprecedented change in the social structure of global cities, because once the world went into isolation, social life changes. In many parts of the world, only essential workers, namely health care providers, frontline officials, food services, etc., are permitted to leave their house to go to work. People who does not work as frontliners instructed to stay at home, except due to healthcare, exercise, or weekly trip for groceries. And many countries' social gathering banned, the are emptied. Research on kind and exceptional events like natural disasters, terrorist attacks, riots, and pandemics show that a shift in collective behavior can also lead to shift in criminal behavior. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are very fortunate to have our experts from 3 different countries who are going to discuss the above issues. I'm sure that all of us will feel prosperously by the knowledge we received after the discussion. Come you once again to the webinar, and I wish you a great time. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much for the opening speech from our Honorary Dean, Dr. Leona Nanang Supriyatna. Thank you, Doctor, and thank you for becoming the host of the host of this online seminar, Faculty of Law, Universitas Katolik Parahyangan. As we know that Faculty of Law, Universitas Katolik Parahyangan is very famous Faculty of Law in Indonesia, and few months ago they get some blessed because I read 2 days ago that one of the alumni of the doctoral program of the Faculty of Law, Universitas Katolik Parahyangan, Dr. Muhammad Safruddin, has become the chairman of the Supreme Court. Is it correct, Dr. Nanang? Okay. Give some applause to Dr. Nanang as our host of this online seminar, his institution, Faculty of Law, Universitas Katolik Parahyangan. And secondly, we can hear some opening speech from the other host of this online seminar, the institution of Asosiasi Profesor Dr. Hukum Indonesia, the Honorary Secretary General of the association. Here, Dr. Alvis Hombing. Please, Doctor, you gave her time to give some opening speech as the host from the Asosiasi Profesor Doktor Hukum Indonesia. Please, Doctor.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, moderator, Dr. Henry, and thank you. Today,
How are you, Dr. Alfis? Are you okay
I'm here.
this morning?
Okay, this morning.
Are you in Bandung?
Yes.
Yeah. Hopefully, you and your family right now is okay and still okay.
Fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, moderator, Dr. Henry Asban.
Yes.
And thank you, the Dean of Faculty of Law, Parahyangan University, Dr. Yur Leona and Sprianesa M. Hum. You're Honorable, the President of Association of Indonesia, Law Professor and Dr. Dini Dewi Henrianti Esa M. Hum. Your Honorable, the Dean of Faculty of Law, Parahyangan University, Dr. Yur Leona and Sprianesa M. Hum. Your Honorable, the Speaker, were from Indonesia, Malaysia, and France. As well seminar participant, fresh of gratitude to the Almighty God for the abundance of grace so we can hold an association of Indonesian law professor and doctor international seminar and collaboration with Parahyangan University. I am Dr. Alpis Yombing and Secretary General of Association of Indonesia Law Professor and Doctor Representative Mrs. President of Association of Indonesia Law Professor and Dr. Dini Dewi Henrianti S.M. Hum, who today will be the keynote speaker and this manner. The themes we take for this international seminar: crime during the new normal pandemic COVID-19 and the countries Indonesia, Malaysia, and France. Hopeful with this international seminar we can share knowledge and overseeing crime case and society due to the impact of the COVID-19 outbreak. This the remark from me. Apologies is their award. They are not pleasing. Thank you very much. Wassalam. Hello.
Hello, Doctor. Hello, Dr. Alfi. Hello, Dr. Alfi. Okay. Hey, wait. Hello, Dr. Alfi. Okay. Dr. Alfi, thank you very much. Dr. Alfis, thank you very much for your opening speech. As the presentation, thank you very much for your speech, opening speech from the second host, our second host, the Asosiasi Profesor dan Doktor Hukum Indonesia. Hopefully this collaboration from the Faculty of Law, Universitas Katolik Parahyangan, and the APDHI, Associate Professor Dr. Hukum Indonesia, will be take longer. Then we can join in others international seminar online, or maybe after the pandemic flow out, we can together in offline seminar. Thank you, Doctor, once more. And the third is, I think we should thanks to the committee of this online seminar from the Universitas Katolik Parahyangan and also the APDHI. And the chairman of this committee is Dr. Yeni Nuraini SHMH, MMRS, She is the treasurer general of the APDHI and also the chairman of the committee of this online seminar. So I think we should hear some opening speech from her. So Dr. Yeni Rahini, please give us some opening speech so we can, after that we can start our online international seminar. Please, Doctor.
Okay.
Okay, Doctor. Are
Thank
you
you.
okay, Doctor?
Fine, thank. Thank you
Fine.
very
How
much.
about Bandung? It's okay, Bandung?
Fine.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Already organized this international seminar, Doctor.
Okay.
Okay,
You're
please,
welcome.
Doctor, your opening speech.
Okay, thank you, Moderator Dr. Henry.
Yeah.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Your Honorable the President of Association of Indonesian Law Professor Dr. Dini Dewi Heniarti SHM Hum, Your Honorable the Dean of Faculty of Law Parahyangan University Dr. Yurliona Nanang Supriyatna SHM Hum, Your Honorable Secretary General of Association of Indonesian Law Professor and Dr. L. Alfis Sihombing SHMH MM CPR CLAM IKOM, Your Honorable the speakers from Indonesia, Dr. Tristan Pascal Mulyono SHMH LLM, Dr. Yasmira Mandasari Saragi SHMH, and Neva Claudia Meliana SHMH, the speaker from Malaysia, Professor Dr. Rozia Abu, and the speaker from France, Dr. Hilaire Tegnan, as well as all seminar participants. Good morning and the best wishes to all of us. First of all, let us express our gratitude for the presence of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, the Almighty God, because with His blessing, we can hold Association of Indonesian Law Professor and Doctors International Seminars in collaboration with Parahyangan University. On this occasion, allow me as chairman of the seminar committee to report on these activities. As we know, at this time, the COVID-19 has spread throughout the world. The outbreak of coronavirus has triggered an increase in the occurrence of crimes in society. Often people are forced to commit crimes just to make ends meet. Therefore, the theme of this seminar is Crimes During the New Normal Pandemic COVID-19 in 3 countries, Indonesia, Malaysia, and France. There are speakers from 3 countries who will share their knowledge in the seminar, namely from Indonesia, Malaysia, and France. The seminar will be held from 9 to 12 o'clock with about 500 participants. Ladies and gentlemen, this event is made possible because of the support and efforts from all parties. Therefore, I would like to thank all the committees, both from Association of Indonesian Law Professor and Doctors and from Parahyangan University, so that this event went as expected. We, as the organizing committee, apologize for any shortcomings in the implementation of this event and say many thanks for your presence. Thus, we conclude this committee chairman report. We apologize if there is any error. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. Thank you very much, Dr. Yeni, for the opening speech, and also already organized this international seminar, so we all from any part of Indonesia and maybe any part of the world can join together in this online seminar.
You're welcome.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, attendance of this international online seminar hosted and organized by two hosts, University Faculty of Law, Universitas Katolik Parahyangan, and also Asosiasi Profesor Asosiasi Profesor dan Doktor Hukum Indonesia. Now, after we hear three opening speech from our Honorary Dean, Dr. Leona Nanang Supriyatna, from the Secretary General of the APDHI, Asosiasi Profesor Dokter Hukum Indonesia, Dr. Alfris Siombing, and also from the Chairman of the Committee of the International Online Seminar, Dr. Yeni Nurhaini. So I think we can start our international online seminar with the themes of crimes during the new normal pandemic COVID-19, comparison in three countries, Indonesia, Malaysia, and France. And as the host and the moderator of this international online seminar, on behalf of the host, our Dean, Dr. Nanang, our Secretary General, Dr. Alfris, and also our Chairman of the Committee, Dr. Yeni Nurhaini, I officially open this international online seminar. Please, your applause for this international online seminar, ladies and gentlemen, the attendance of this seminar. Okay, thank you very much. I don't want to prolong my conversation, my speech. For the first time, I think it's better for us to give time to our keynote speaker, the President of Association of Indonesian Law, Professor and Doctor, Dr. Dini Dewi Heniarti SH M. Hum. But unfortunately, suddenly Dr. Dini have something to do that cannot ignorance. Weeks ago, she already agreed to give a live speak and presentation here, but 2 days ago, she said to me, to the committee, that she have something to do that cannot ignorance. So she recorded her speak and presentation. So I think the committee can run her recorded presentation and speak. Please, our committee run the speak and the presentation of Dr. Dini Dewi Heniarti.
COVID-19 poses a serious threat in Indonesia from defense and security standpoint, and government, as the holder of state control, must be prepared as well as possible to anticipate the potential for weakening national defense and security. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, Your Excellencies, Dean of Faculty of Law, Parahyangan University, Your Excellencies, General Secretary of Association of Indonesian Law, Professor and Dr. Alfis Sihombi, and Your Excellencies, Chairman of Committee, Dr. Yeni Nurhaini, and all participants in this international. I hope we are all good. I'd like to send many thanks in advance for your willingness to join the international seminar with the title Crime During the New Normal in 3 countries, Indonesia, Malaysia, and France. I'd like to say special many thanks to Dr. Ahmad Zaharuddin from Malaysia, Dr. Hilary Tegnan from France, Dr. Tristan Pascal Mudiono, Mrs. Neva Claudia, and Dr. Yasmira Mandasari, who will be the speaker today. And also many thanks to Dr. Harry Aspan, acting as moderator today. As we know, there have been many academic studies regarding COVID-19 intended to find solutions. And the outbreak of COVID-19 poses a serious threat in Indonesia from defense and security standpoint. And government, as the holder of state control, must be prepared as well as possible to anticipate the potential for weakening national defense and security and global health issues, particularly from infectious disease. Outbreaks have increased on the global political agenda in the last 2 decades. New infectious diseases have appeared so rapidly that all efforts in the same time, including SARS from 2002 to 2003, MERS from 2012, avian influenza A or H7N9 from 2013, Ebola from 2014 to 2015, and Zika 2015 to 2016, and COVID-19 or new coronavirus from 2019 and to 2022. Here, the relationship between global health, security, and national mitigation is very important because pandemic like this might be repeated throughout the history of human civilization. And the COVID-19 pandemic of 2022 has impacted the world in ways not seen in generations. Initial evidence suggests one of the effects is crime rates. And several researchers have made initial examination into how crime rates have fluctuated in the advent of COVID-19. And the research have been mixed to say the least, especially when comparing both categorized as crime across different cities and with different methods and period of study. And the institutional response to the pandemic and the consequences reshaping of socio-economic norms worldwide will affect how criminal networks operate, as well as the nature of the law enforcement responses to them. At these early stages of the pandemic, this impact might be difficult to fully understand, and appropriate responses difficult to gauge. What seems clear, however, is that the pandemic has reduced some organized criminal activities while simultaneously providing opportunities for the new one, and this change in the organized criminal economy could have long-term consequences, and the realignment of state resources, in a particular police services in responding to the virus, and the role of criminal groups might have important influences on how such state surveys and groups evolve in months to come. Vulnerable groups, such as people who use drugs or victims of human trafficking, might be particularly hard hit by the impact of the virus. And in many of these countries, it is crime groups and not the police that are enforcing lockdown others in informal settlement and slums. And in this process, they are reinforcing their soft power and expanding their influence, operating in full view of the local authorities. They are providing basic services and delivering toilet paper, canned goods, and perishable food items to the poor, elderly, and infirm. Others are posting warning online and off about abiding by curfews and social isolation. And their appeal may be growing at the time when government leadership is lacking and the surge in drug-related violence ought to come down to change underway in global markets. And the slowdown in international trade means that the cartel and the gangs have fewer opportunities to push their product through global supply chains because they are simply fewer ways to move illegal merchandise by land, air, or sea. Meanwhile, drug producers in example, Bolivia, Colombia, and Peru, Mexico are struggling to source precursor chemical to make methamphetamine and fentanyl or even cocaine. And increased crime such as robbery, drug cases, and fraud. The increase in the number of crimes is based on comparative data in the previous before. And emergency situation can cause people who cannot meet their basic needs anymore to be determined to commit crimes in order to survive amid the coronavirus pandemic in Indonesia. So this is emergency situation has caused many changes in life. People who are not strong enough to survive in lawful ways will take shortcuts that are against the law. Corruption is a domestic problem that continues to be tackled, in which one of the efforts is related to the substance of the law, especially in relation to laws and regulations. As an extraordinary crime, of course, the handling must be in a different way, especially now that Indonesia is being hit by the Covid-19 pandemic. So, Indonesia is still working smartly in response to the complex emergency due to COVID-19, due to government's limitation in understanding non-traditional security threats in the era of international relations today. Chaos and panic should not have occurred if the country understood that pandemic is a global security issue, even though a country has successfully dealt with the spread of COVID-19, but the country will not meet the requirements of other countries that are still exposed. International cooperation and solidarity are key in dealing with this problem. And the COVID-19 pandemic outbreak has threatened human security. Before, the concept of human security is more universal. This means that the human security is not limited to a single country, but aims to the general public, for all human beings involved. Even the threat of COVID-19 can come to anyone. So an incident that can be categorized as human security has threatened the national security of a country. National security threats extend to a global scope. According to the concept of human security, individuals play an important role in the stability of community life, both nationality and internationality. This is because the structure of society, both the national and international levels, consists of individuals who have need for security. And the context human security, UNDP or United Nations Development Program, formulates human security in the following components, like economic security or guaranteed basic income, food security or psycho and economic access to food, health security or relatively free from disease and infections, and environmental security or access to sanitary, water supplies, clean air, and undamaged land system, and social security or cultural identity security, and individual security or security from threats and cyber violence, political security or protection of human rights and freedom. In the term of substance, national security is essentially of embodiment of the concept of comprehensive security, which has 4 dimensions, namely the dimension of national defense, the dimension of domestic stability or internal security, and the dimension of human safety or human security. And in the human security perspective, the focus of attention is no longer on the aspect of the state, but extends to the attention of how people or individuals take face to it from various sources, including pandemic. And in security studies, pandemic outbreaks can be included in non-traditional security threat. In the categories, the state needs to be in a variety of non-state actors, both civilian and military, to ensure its national vigilance. So actually, cooperation with other countries is needed to exchange the latest or the new information, and human safety is the last point where any concern regarding security boils down to. And a form of security, such as military security, find the main objective, but are only means to achieve the essential goal of human security. So the state responsibility in Indonesia, the states has a constitutional responsibility to protect all Indonesian citizens. That is a great agreement and meta norm that must be realized. So transparency in handling COVID-19 is part of the government responsibility to the public, because the public has the right to get accurate and correct health information, or the right to obtain information. So as a consequence, the state must convey to the public what plans, what steps and policy strategies have been and will be carried out, and how the regulation, how the simulation, how the impact, and how much the funding is provided, and the possibilities. So protection and guarantees of the rights and security of citizens are currently the benchmark for measuring the country by the international community. And I hope in this seminar we will discuss what phenomena, what crime appear, increase or decrease in the pandemic era, and how the state solution to deal with it. Finally, I say congratulations on attending the international seminar. Thank you very much.
Okay, our thank you to Dr. Dini Dewi Heniarti as the President of the Asosiasi Profesor Dr. Hukum Indonesia, and also our keynote speaker. But unfortunately, she will not join us directly in this international online seminar, but she already gave her speak and presentation in this international online seminar. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind you that our themes of this international online seminar is crimes during the new normal pandemics, COVID-19, comparison in 3 countries, Indonesia, Malaysia, and France. So I think from this theme, we know that in this international seminar, we can learn, we can discuss about the pattern, about the intensity, about the frequency of the crimes, criminal activity, the comparison among these 3 countries, Indonesia, Malaysia, and France, especially during the new normal era of the pandemic COVID-19. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we already heard some speech from the keynote speaker, but I want to give some explanation to you. First of all, I just get some information from the committee that there is some change in our speaker, especially from the Malaysia. Unfortunately, Dr. Ahmad Zaharuddin Sani Ahmad Sabri will not join us because he said, Dr. Ahmad Sabri said that yesterday, suddenly I give an order from the office of the Prime Minister of Malaysia, the Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin. So I need, so they asked me, Dr. Ahmad Zaharuddin, to join the group of the Prime Minister to visit Sabah this Saturday. Sabah is part of Malaysia. So because Dr. Ahmad Zaharuddin is part of the government, and when the Prime Minister want to have a visit to part of his country, so unfortunately Dr. Ahmad Zaharuddin must follow the Prime Minister group, and now he will not join us. But we already have also same interesting, same smart speaker. He is an associate professor, Dr. Rozia Abu. Rozia Abu is the lecturer from the UITM, University Institute Teknologi Mara. It's the first change. It's the first change that I can explain to you. Secondly, I want to explain you about the rules of the game of this international webinar. First of all, I think it's better for us if you want. So if you want to ask some question to our speaker, I think it's better to you to hear, to see the presentation first. Suddenly after the speaker finish the presentation, you can send us the question that you want to ask to the speaker. I will not give time to raise hand and ask question, but you send it in the chat room, so you can ask what you want to ask to the speaker. But to make it easy, please send it directly or suddenly after the speaker finish their presentations. It's the rules of the game. And the second rules of the game, nearly before the end of this international online seminar, the committee will send you the link for the present of this of this international online seminar, so you can sign in and write down your name, your email, and blah blah blah. So later the committee will send you the certificate of this online seminar. So don't worry if you think that there is no link to write down your name to get the certificate, because just before the end of the seminar, the committee will share it in the chat room. Okay, I don't want to prolong because we already joined with Associate Professor Dr. Rozia Abu. Hello, Professor. What I can call you, Prof. Rozia?
No, just call me Rozia.
Okay, okay. Okay. Okay, Rosia, are you already here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, okay. Are you okay? Are you in Malaysia right now?
Alhamdulillah, I'm good.
Alhamdulillah, okay. Okay. So, Rosia, I don't want to prolong my conversation, and I want to give you some time to give your presentation, your explanation. So, our attendants, our participant of this online seminar can hear what happened in Malaysia during the new normal of pandemic COVID-19 era. So please, once more, please, Associate Professor Dr. Rosia Abu from University Institute Teknologi Mara, Malaysia.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum. A very good morning to all. I hope I'm loud and clear. All right, and well, thank you also to Dr. Henry, our cheerful moderator, to Dr. Yeni Nuraini, to our honorable guests, Dr. Alfish Yobing, Dr. Leona Nanang, and of course to my new found friend, Dr. Yasmira. I guess she's around. All right. Before I go any further, I noticed that the committee members has already shared the screen with my slide. But can I request because there's a few changes on the slide, can I request for me to share my own slides? Is it okay with you, the committee members?
Please, committee, can you accommodate what Dr. Rosia want to do?
Because I wish to share my own slide. There's a few changes there. Is it possible for me to share my own slides?
Is it yours? No?
No, this is not.
Okay. Wait, doctor.
No, this is, I'm sorry, because a few of the statistical numbers there, there's a changes there.
Okay.
This is the one.
Mr. Sharanuddin, as the committee, can you make the Dr. Rosia become the host of this Zoom?
Only for my slide presentation. The host is still disabled, participant sharing screen.
Wait, doctor.
Yeah. It's okay then. I guess I'll just proceed with whatever we have at the moment.
Doctor, sorry, you already my co-host. You can share your,
right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can?
Yes. Right. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
My slide. I'll
Yes.
share my slide presentation then. All right. Thank you so much to the committee for allowing me to be the host for a few seconds.
You're welcome, Professor.
All right. Now, all right. Again, I would like to say good morning to all, to our honorable guests, to all our representatives from other countries, and of course from Indonesia. I hope everybody is well and safe in their own home and in their own accommodation, hopefully. Now, my name is Rosia Abu. I am the head of unit data of the Office of Industry Community and Alumni Network in the University Technology Mara, also known as Mara University of Technology in Malaysia. I'm also the lecturer of Information Management faculty in the same university, Mara University of Technology. And I'm here because Dr. Zaharuddin Ahmad Sabri has entrusted me to share the results of our findings, the findings of our study, in which we tailor it made structurally to be in line with our online seminar today, where the seminar themes is crimes during the new pandemic COVID-19. You know, when you say crimes during the new pandemic, it's a bit daunting, you know, because I'm not an honorable judge to say it's a form of crime. But I guess from this study, I can share with you some data compilation from all the ministries on what are the breach, the inaccuracy and the falsification of data that being happening to Malaysia, around Malaysia during this pandemic COVID. Now, so this is 4,224 hours, meaning to say 6 month study on the weathering of COVID pandemic in Malaysian experience. And this study is a data compilation study in where it refers to the description of statistical procedure of producing Malaysia in intermediate data and finding statistical output. The respondents for these studies basically, or the source of this data actually the ministries and prominent organization here in Malaysia. So some of it like Ministry of Health Malaysia, MOH, which you will find their credential on my slides later on. We also have this MCMC, Malaysia Communication and Multimedia Commission. We also have KKMM, Ministry of Communication and Multimedia Malaysia. We also consider data from the CPRC, which is a special center known to be as Crisis Preparedness of Responsive Center. It is under the Ministry of Health Malaysia. We also put and gathered information from the Royal Police of Malaysia. And finally, we do have the National Security Council data and also the BERNAMA, that is the Malaysian National News Agency. We take into consideration also some of the data that collected through the social media network, such as Facebook, internet, Twitter, and also, of course, portals and things like that. Now, let's go straight to the content of what I'm going to be presenting and sharing with you today. So it will be basically on the breakdown cases, the cases by states, fatality rates, numbers. So those are all on the background aspect of it. And I will focus on specifically on fake news for today's presentation. I guess fake news is a huge challenge, not just to me, to Malaysia. It is for all of us, I guess, around the world. And sad to say that most of us still hasn't realized that how impactful fake news is, you know, inaccurate information, inaccurate of data, it will create panic around our citizens. And many of us still thought, you know, I mean, we still thought we are doing nice things here, but sometimes we have to take second or maybe third review of things before we actually share the information. So today, we will talk about the MCO violation enforcement here in Malaysia and some implementation of new norms that has been quite effective here in Malaysia. And we also will highlight some small high-profile cases that is just a summary for discussion purpose. And of course, the finance ministry also start up 6 strategies for national approach to manage COVID-19. Now, just a background before I go any further into the statistical and numberings and data. Just a few scenarios on what is pandemic COVID-19 in Malaysia is all about. It's all started on the 16th of March, where the announcement by the Prime Minister on the Movement Control Order, MCO, in Malaysia. And starting from that day onwards, Malaysia have gone through 6 phases of MCO. And further on, we have 2 RMCO. So we are now at phase 8. The phase 1 movement control order started on the 18th and ends on the 31st of March, but then prolonged to the 1st until the 14th of April, and then add on to 15th till 28th of April. And finally, it stopped at 29th till 3rd of May 2020. However, the condition somehow doesn't prove to be worthy for dissolution of MCO yet. So the Prime Minister and the government Malaysia in it as a whole has decided to go on with phase 5, that is under the conditional movement control order, CMCO. So CMCO, we have 2 phases, phase 5 and phase 6, which started on 4th of May and ends on the 9th of June. And still we face some second, third wave upon the pandemic COVID-19, and we started off with our phase 7 and 8, that is the Recovery Movement Control Order, RMCO. Well, nobody likes it, I think. I'm not enjoying it all, MCO, RMCO, CMCO. I mean, at the end of the day, it means that you are quarantined in your own house, right? So nobody likes it. And I guess when when you dislike something, you tend to share things emotionally rather than, factually, So I guess this is one of the reasons why fake news is so much challenging around us lately. Now, let's just go through on the breakdown of active COVID-19 cases here in Malaysia. And as far as 18th September yesterday, the counted new cases that arise in Malaysia has gone up to 95 cases. And 91 of it is local cases. Meanwhile, 4 is imported cases. Now, as for positive cases, according to states, we have 14 states here in Malaysia. And the total number of positive cases since March till September is 10,147 cases. And the discharge number of patients are 9,264, and fatality 129. And we have 11 more still in ICU. So as you can see on the slide, that's the numbers according to states. And I'm right here in Putrajaya, so it's a bit scary there. And fatalities by states, I gave you the description according to states here, which is, you can have a look further on. And for that, we are quite strict when it comes to preventive measurements, SOP, especially in workplace. Now, we have no choice but to open up our businesses and to open up our offices so that our economy can run again as usual. But as usual, it doesn't mean as usual. And there's a lot of changes that requires. The distancings are in the measurement, the preventive measurements. There's a lot of requirement of wearing masks and things like that. And whether we like it or not, our borders to some countries with high number of cases are still closed, including America and India. Now, let's go to the one particular crime that has been a challenging element of crime for all of us, that is fake news. Now, upon dealing with this fake news, the Malaysian government has introduced one specific portal. It's called Sebenar.my portal. And this portal is purposely developed to trigger any form of misleading information or inaccurate information sharing by the citizens. And upon the 6th month of its operation, that is on the 18th of March until September 2020, there's a total of 1,624 invalid information that has been identified, 791 of it, 48.7% of the total information shared by the citizens is considered as inaccurate or fake. And due to that, more than 369 notification has to be delivered by the government to the citizen to trigger this fake news, to deny all those inaccurate information and falsification of data and information. And number of investigation that has been done by the MCMC, Malaysian Communication and Multimedia Commission, under the platform of social media and online. Like we have Facebook, we have Twitter, we have WhatsApp. Okay, and then we have Laman Web. This is the web online. So these are all total number is investigation initiated under the MCMC investigation. And out of 55 investigation done, 266 investigation papers were open. And the breakdown, as you can see there, the active investigation, which is actually ongoing now, and we have court prosecution and we have warning notices and also some other further action. Now, legal prosecution, the court cases, the number of guilty party, oh, sorry, I don't know what happened. All right, so okay, now, so the legal prosecution cases at the moment, we have 35 court cases. All right, now, let's talk about the MCO violation order. MCO violation control order. This is the movement control order, which was introduced in March until September, still on until today. And from there, as you can see, there has been enforcement used under the National Security Council, where we monitored, and the observation has been done for safety operational procedure purpose. So we have the more than 61,000 task force operation up to September 2020. Nobody likes it, but I guess it, in one way, it helps a lot, you know, with the road safety, road checkings, vehicle SOP, we have more than 24,972 cases. We have also the breach of individual SOP, which we have more than 221 individual cases. And we also have organization or businesses breach of SOP. And from the number, as you can see, mall is the highest one. There's 3,945 breach of SOP cases. Restaurant, we have 5,000 plus. Street businesses, small hawkers, we have 1,500 cases. And we have factories, banks, and to your surprise, there are also breach of SOP in government offices. Yeah, surprisingly, but it happened. And we are adapting quite well with our new norms nowadays, where we not encourage anymore. We make it compulsory now to make use of sanitizing. Face mask is compulsory now, and movement control order is something that ongoing, and of course security checkings. Security checkings and physical distancing is being used thoroughly throughout Malaysian life nowadays. Now, working from home is a new thing nowadays, and the social media usage apparently has risen up drastically, because apparently people are now communicating and engaging more on social media platform, and due to that, even the ministries nowadays are using social media platform to propose frequent reminders to share new data and things like that. And we also notice in Malaysia 14% of online purchase increases. Now, it's not to say that we are not prepared. Malaysia has a long list of acts, law, that to protect our citizens from all these online crimes and things like that. We have this Prevention and Control Infectious Disease Act 1988. We have this Telemedicine Act 1997. We even have Data Protection Act 2020. But at the end of the day, the sharing of fake information becomes very, very crucial. And apparently it's due to our digital lifestyle nowadays. Now we have economic online, we have educational online, we have personal interaction online. Everything is digitized now. And these requires a lot of awareness. We need to increase overall awareness on digital lifestyle. And this is becoming a challenge to us. And I would like to share with you the high profile cases and also clusters during this pandemic COVID in Malaysia from March until September 2020. And in March, this was the beginning of the first high profile cases during pandemic in Malaysia. That was the Sri Petaling cluster. This was the first clusters identified with COVID-19 strains here in Malaysia. And the total cases under the Sri Petaling cluster was 8,357. And between that time, we have high profile cases that involve the ministers who actually breached SOP procedures. Like for example, the Deputy Minister of Health and Para-ESCO members in April. We also have this high-profile case of commodity ministers and family who travel overseas and come back with a breach of SOP. And then there's the daughter of Jerlun House of Representative somewhere in August. And apparently people are become very, very in touch with this kind of cases because these cases requires us to be more alert of our surrounding. And apparently there's a lot of issues discussed on this high profile cases here online. And finally, the latest one we have is the illegal immigrants in Lahad Datu and Sabah, in Tawau Sabah cases. Now, upon all this, the challenges, the breach of SOP and the inaccurate information of sharing, Malaysian has come up with 6 strategies to help us to somehow adapt with the new norms. The Ministry of Finance proposed resolving and curbing of spread of virus becomes the main target of our daily activities and daily life. And we have to focus on resilience, enhancing national resilience in the weathering the crisis, reopening and regenerating economy, which is a must now, whether we like it or not. And due to that, new norm is something that you cannot say no to. And then recovery implementation and revitalize empowering economic holistically. And finally, to reform restructuring the economy. And with that, I conclude my presentation on crimes during the new normal pandemic COVID-19 in Malaysia. And I guess it's back to you, Dr. Henry.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Rozia. Thank you, Dr. Rozia, for presenting about the crimes in Malaysia during COVID pandemic era. And I'm so interested with what you have already presented. Yes, of course, in Indonesia, if you don't want to talk about the normal crimes, I mean, in Indonesia called pidana umum, yeah, but there is 2 crimes that frequently happen also in Indonesia. First is about the control movement in Indonesia. In Malaysia called MCO, yeah?
Yeah, MCO.
Movement Control Order.
Yeah.
But in Indonesia, we call the social limitation in large scale, called pembatasan sosial berskala besar. So, yeah, it's the problem for our government because even we have a regulation on this PSBB, we call it, pembatasan sosial berskala besar, but people, because of any reason, they broke these kinds of law. And secondly, also like what you presented, our second problem during the pandemic is the fake news. In Indonesia, we call it hoax.
Hoax.
Yeah, H-O-A-X. It means not true news, not true information that already share in, especially in media social, something like that. Yeah, doctor.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
But in personal note, Dr. Henry, as a human being, sometimes it's irritating and annoying, so we tends to share information emotionally rather than factually,
Yeah.
Sometimes when we are frustrated, we tend to just blast out online without realizing we are sharing something which is not true.
Yeah. And sometimes it's affect other people to do something wrong, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Rozia. I think later after this, I think a lot of people want to ask questions for you, and later I will give you to answer the question from the audience, yeah, doctor.
I'll be honored. Thank you.
Okay, let's give applause to Associate Professor Dr. Rozia Abu from UITM Malaysia. Okay, I don't want to prolong my speech, my conversation. Then directly we can go to the second speaker. Our second speaker is from the Universitas Katolik Parahyangan from the Faculty of Law. I already mentioned by the committee that we actually have tandem speaker from the Universitas Katolik Parahyangan. They are Dr. Tristam Pascal Mulyono and also Mrs. Neva Claudia Meliala SHMH. And especially for Dr. Tristam Pascal Mulyono, I can read for you. I can read for you his curriculum vitae. Dr. Tristam Pascal Mulyono is a lecturer in the Faculty of Law, Universitas Katolik Parahyangan Bandung. Now he acting as the head of the postgraduate program, master and doctoral, in the Faculty of Law of Catholic University of Parahyangan. Dr. Tristam got their bachelor in law from Universitas Parahyangan in 1989. Then he go to the Universitas Indonesia to get the Master of Law in 1998. Then he also got the second Master in Law, LLM, from Utrecht University in 2000. And the last, he got his PhD, his Doctor in Law from Leiden University in 2011. So I think I don't want to prolong my conversation. I will give time to the Dr. Tristam Pascal Mulyono and also his tandem speaker. Oh, sorry. Mrs. Neva Claudia Meliala. Please, Dr. Tristam. Okay, sorry, I got a message from the committee. I think we will change our structure of the speaker. We will go to the second speaker. The second speaker is Dr. Hilaire Tegnam from France. Dr. Hilham Teknam from France is a lecturer at the Sorbonne University in France. Dr. Teknam, born in Ivory Coast, or in Indonesia we call Pantai Gading. Okay, he was born in 1982, and his background is he got a bachelor degree in criminology from the University Paris, Pantheon Sorbonne, and University de Cocody Abidjan in 2007, and he got the dual master degree in criminology from the University Paris, Pantheon Sorbonne, and University of Cocody Abidjan in 2009. And he also got certificate of Indonesian study from Andalas University Padang in 2010, and certificate in peace building and reconciliation from Eastern Maynard University, Virginia, USA in 2010 also. And finally, he got his doctoral from the Andalas University Padang in 2016. Now, Dr. Teknan Gubo Ginatin Hillary is a visiting lecturer at Faculty of Law, University in Padang, Indonesia. So I think we will give time to Dr. Teknan to make a presentation and speak to explain about the condition, especially crimes during COVID pandemic era. Please, Dr. I called you Dr. Teknan?
That's
Is it
right.
correct? Yeah, correct?
That's correct. Thank you very much.
Okay. Nice to know you, Dr. Teknan.
Nice to meet you too.
Where are you right now? In Indonesia, in France, or in Ivory Coast?
I'm safe in Padang.
Safe in Padang. Okay.
Yeah, because of the situation, it's not conducive to go back in France. So I'm here in Padang with my family.
Okay.
Thank
Please,
you for
Dr.
asking.
Teknan, please give us some presentation, some explanation about what happens in France actually.
You bet. All right. Thank you very much, dear moderator, Mr. Dr. Henry. Before going further in my presentation, I would like to thank the Dean of the Faculty of Law, Parayangan University, Dr. Iu Leona. And also want to thank the chairperson of the committee, Dr. Yeni, and the other speakers who've been here, giving them presentation before me. I have in mind Dr. Yeni, who just gave a brilliant presentation on the situation in Malaysia. Taking the time after Dr. Yeni, I would like to present my my research over the past 6 months after the outbreak of the coronavirus. If you don't mind, the host, I would like you to share my presentation to share to the participant. I hope everybody, all of you, you are doing well, have a good time, safe, following health protocols, so we can all be okay during this time of crisis. Today, I want to talk about the impact of the pandemic on the crime situation in France, in Europe, give my perspective a little bit. I'll be talking about the I have a little bit of a hack with my computer. I hope it fixes soon. Okay. Can you see my presentation on the screen?
Yes, doctor. Yes,
okay.
Doctor. You can see.
So first I'll be talking about the first part. Talk about the type of crime during COVID-19 pandemic, And on the second part of my presentation, I'll be talking about it. I'll highlight how the pandemic is helping to prevent or reduce certain crimes. My presentation, as you can see, is entitled, can I go back? Okay. Corona Gangsters, How Crime Adapt to COVID-19 Pandemic. As we all know, COVID-19 outbreak began late 2019, and it grows rapidly around the world to the point that it puts the World Health Organization to declare it as a pandemic. This virus has prompted the criminal world to change its practice, a new delinquency that prompts the police to adapt. The evildoers are taking advantage of the current situation to find ways to get rich. And everybody knows this. It's sad to notice that they are expanding and diversifying their businesses by engaging in various crimes and scams to exploit fear and uncertainty associated with the virus. Criminals quickly seize opportunity to explore the crisis by adapting their modus operandi or engaging in new illegal activities. So as I pointed out, I'll be talking about the crime in France and also not just crime, but how this situation is helping our police and our security official to deal with the conventional, what we know as conventional crimes. First, as I pointed out, I would like to bring to attention, I think they are no different from the crime happening worldwide, especially in Indonesia or in Asia. The first crime that popped out during this pandemic are scams, as pointed out by my predecessor, scams through fake news or hoax, like the host, the moderator just pointed out two hoax, and also we have counterfeit medical products. And here again, I want to make it clear, I'm talking about the French situation, the French situation. This might be happening elsewhere in the world, especially in Indonesia, but I would like to focus on the French situation. And the third crime that I want to bring to attention is cybercrime. Cybercrime is on the rise right now, ever since the outbreak of the pandemic. And also on the fourth on the list is the trafficking in mask and fake vaccines in France. Scam by the elderly, which I mean here, I mean the older population is getting ripped, is being used to the advantage of the criminals. And there's also a rise in domestic violence against women and children. Domestic violence against women and children. And on my list, the last on my list is internet abuse of children confined at home. So I would like to develop these crimes that I just pointed out, develop them in my next slide. As you can see here, ladies and gentlemen, in March, at least 100,000 new websites in terms of scams were registered under domain name containing words such as COVID. So they are using these criminals, like they are taking advantage, sadly, of this horrific situation. And then you also have websites that contain the word like corona and virus. And this is to attract, to get the attention of the people in desperate need of help, medical attention. And also victims receive messages telling them that they have been exposed to someone who tested positive for COVID-19. So anybody, the threat and also the fear that these people generate within the population to get to get to reach their goal, I should say. They're also asked to complete what looks like an Excel form. So you receive a form, and they want you to fill it out with information. Of course, information related to your bank situation, your financial situation, and next thing you know, you have everything that is being taken away from you. You also have when you click or when you view this form, your computer is infected with Trojan. This is a virus that is installed. It installs malicious files. So you get these files, you click on them. Next thing you know, your computer is full of virus and you are hacked. And also, the COVID-19 is an effective lure for criminals and fraudsters to trick victims into visiting fake websites. Like I said, the website goes by the name of COVID, Corona, pandemic, virus. So once you receive these, you receive messages from these websites, you cannot, restrain yourself from not visiting them, because you think these are information that are reliable coming from these websites. Sometimes you think it comes from the government. So without knowing, being naive, you click on them and you get criminal, you get into criminal situation. As you can see here, I'm sorry,
Dr. Teknan, I already make you as the co-host, so you can switch your presentation slide by yourself.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Henry. You are awesome. Thank you. Hard for me. Sorry. How can I, when I go back to
Can you, Dr. Teknan, to?
Yeah, I'm trying. It sometimes freezes.
No. Ken? No?
Okay. Yeah, I'm all right now. Yes, thank you.
Ken,
so after
you can change the slide by yourself?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So right on the screen, you can see following the layout of my presentations. Second on the list is the fake medical personnel. What I mean here by fake medical personnel, you see sometimes, mostly, not sometimes, you see burglars posing as caregivers or paramedics. So you see the rise and the growth of these fake doctors, coming to you and offering to give you coronavirus assistance. So the population just cannot turn them away because they are sometimes they are very, very naive, and also due to the fear, they just respond positively to these scammers. Sometimes you also see the thugs who wear protective masks, white coats, claim to be carrying out coronavirus tests to break into your house, into your home. So these also are sadly the situation that you can see during this coronavirus pandemic. They mostly target elderly because elderly are mostly confined, and they are like they don't receive visit because visits are not allowed, and they are very weakened due to the of their physical condition. So this piece sees them as a perfect prey to run their criminal activities. And also criminal gangs benefiting from high demand for hygiene and personal protection products. So if, because as you see in Indonesia, I read a lot of articles saying The medical supplies, the medical product supplies were really, the shortage was in shortage. So this creates more criminals, groups to come up with ideas to fill out the gap, because of the scarcity of the products. So it gives them the opportunity to propose fake stuff to the population. In France, around 2,000 advertising banners related to the COVID-19 has been identified on the internet, many offering counterfeit and poor quality masks. More than 34,000 were seized alongside corona sprays, anti-coronavirus packs, and other pseudo drugs. So you see here, it's really, really sad situation. I'll go back way back to the beginning of April, May. That was a peak because as you notice in Europe, during that time, a lot of victims, fortunately, of this pandemic. Not online, you also have something referred to within the criminal world as phishing or smishing. What I mean by phishing or smishing here, it consists of usurping the identity of a company or an administration to send emails of SMS linked to the coronavirus pandemic, and thus encouraging clicking on a link or calling back a premium rate numbers in order to obtain your personal data, especially banking data or money transfer. So put it simply, this means they take fake identity of a company. Let's say for example Mitsubishi, for example. Mitsubishi is offering you some packages, coronavirus packages, but what all you have to do is to click on this link, and this link will direct you into maybe filling out a form that requires you to maybe input your financial data. And this is the way criminal use to subtract money from people. Likewise, bounce call frauds. So you bounce off fraud by call or messages left on the answering machine. So they call you, and then when you don't pick up, they leave a message asking you to call back. So when you call back, these are fake pretext linked to coronavirus to this administrative situation. So they use these virus means to break into people's life by proposing either fake products, either fake situation to get your money, to get your financial data, so they can empty out your bank account. In France, cyber criminals are exploiting people currently concerned about the coronavirus to spray phishing emails with malicious content or use this fear with fraudulent intention. Now, ladies and gentlemen, here I would like to extrapolate a little bit to the academic world, specifically in the publication world. Sometimes you'll receive email telling you that you've been you presented the paper at this conference, and this paper was wonderful, and they would like to have more of your publication. They would like to have more of your papers published in their journal. So you say, oh my God, I'm very good. I'm so smart. So these people notice my intelligence, and they want to publish my paper. So when you respond to that, these are nothing but just criminal. Because serious journal, they'll never contact you. A serious journal will never contact an author and offer them to publish their research work. This is and I haven't seen that. I've never seen this thing happening. Serious journals always wait. You search for them. You go on the website. You submit your paper. It get reviewed within 4-6 months before if you're lucky, you get published. If you're not lucky, they'll reject your paper. So now, this has been happening, in the past. But after the outbreak of the coronavirus, you see a lot of these phishing, these fake emails coming through a lot. I receive like I can get like 10 a day. And these are just not publishers, they're just fake people just sending you fake messages to get your money. That's the end result. Next, ladies and gentlemen, we can also see the pedocriminality. Pedocriminality here is a criminality of sexual nature against children. So children right now, because of the confinement, the lockdown, they have nowhere to go. There's no playground except the bedroom. So they spend more time on the computer, they spend more time online searching, and this is where they encounter bad people. People we refer to as pedophiles. So these people are not again, they're not after anything but children. Because children are vulnerable and easy to lure and to drive into some sexual conversation online. In France, the pandemic has also led to an increase in the activity of online pedophiles, like I said. Also, children and young and youth are more online at home and not in the regular environment where they are surrounded by adults. So you see here, this is one of the reasons why crime is at a rise in France right now. And we also have, like I said at the outset of my presentation, we also have domestic violence now, because you cannot go out, you cannot go to the bar, you cannot go to the gym, you're stuck, at home. This normally should be a very happy time because you have more time with your family. But the more time you spend with, at home, and more importantly, the more time at home without money because of you're not working, it creates tension. It creates tension, and this tension sometimes people cannot control this tension, and it resulted, unfortunately, it resulted in the fight, argument between couples. In France, confinement to contain the coronavirus has become a danger for many women. Cases of domestic violence has exploded in France. For many women in France, the measures taken to contain the COVID-19 pandemic is turning into a nightmare for the exploitation of cases of domestic violence. With the declaration of the state of emergency, with the lockdown in March, women were already experiencing domestic violence found themselves locked in all day with their attackers. So can you believe all day long you are with the person who attacks you every day? I can't possibly think of that. It is a nightmare for women, and not just women, also the children. The intensification of social isolation caused by the confinement, the reduction of safety nets, the barriers to accessing services, the economic consequences of the crisis, and the reductions in income will increase the rise of the domestic violence. And the last thing I want to point out here is the stigma and discrimination. It's not just crime, like criminal activities. We also have stigma and discrimination. During the COVID,
your time is about 3 minutes more.
All right, it's enough for me to finish it. COVID-19 pandemic is also bringing out the share of racism and discrimination, especially against Chinese, Asian community, and seniors. When I mean seniors, they are elderly population. These actions can worsen the pandemic, since they can lead to potentially hit stigmatize people to adopt risky behavior, such as refusing to consult, thus aggravating the health problems of the person, but also the community, insofar as the infected person will not necessarily take the necessary measure to limit the contamination. And like I said, it's not just about elevating crimes, it's also reducing crime too. COVID-19, it's got also positive side. The confinement of residents to their home is causing number of burglaries to drop. Curfews are pulling the right adult under the foot of the pickpockets, and international drug trafficking is reduced by the closure of borders. So border closure is also contributing into reducing crime. In many European countries, the police are observing a drop in what is called traditional crime, In Spain, you can see the police know they dropped around 50%. In Sweden, also the same situation. Breaking also is reducing. Breaking in houses. We also have the reduce in human trafficking due to the difficulties crossing borders. And finally, I would like to conclude, ladies and gentlemen, that it is important to note, although COVID-19 pandemic has plunged the world war into unprecedented health and economic situation, unfortunately causing many loss of human life. Although this pandemic is contributing to the slowing down of certain forms of crime, it has unfortunately either engendered new forms of crime or has contributed to strengthening those which already existed. In the face of this deadly pandemic, along with its suffering, each and every one of us must show vigilance and compassion and responsibility. Thank you very much for your kind intentions. Return to you, Mr.
Okay, thank you
Moderator.
very much, Dr. Teknan, for your speak and your presentations. It's very nice. I got at least two things that may be quite same in Indonesia about crimes during the pandemic. First is crime related to the medical process. Yeah, right? Something like in Indonesia, doctor, at the first time of pandemic, there is scarcity of face masker. They sold in a high price. And the newest crime is about like it's I think a syndicate that sold fake ventilator. It already cost 54 billion rupiah. Something like that also happened in France, doctor?
Yeah, similarly, but not respirator. It's not. What we're talking about here is like personal protection equipment. With the exception of respirator.
Yeah.
They are provided, but just are difficult to get and they're hard to make. So criminals don't want to go through that path because it's difficult to make.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the gown, the stuff, the masks, the gloves, the gel, all these things you can get them. Because
Yeah. And also the racism for Asian people and Chinese, especially Chinese people, yeah, doctor.
Yeah, that's right.
Because European people think that it's come from China, so all the Asian or if especially the Chinese people should be responsible for this pandemic, something like that, yeah, doctor.
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Teknan. Please give some applause for Dr. Teknan. And doctor, later, I think the attendants, the participant of this seminar will ask some question for you. So just stay here and be prepared. Doctor, once more, we should give some applause to Dr. Teknan. Thank you very much, doctor.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Okay, all ladies and gentlemen, all the participants of this international online seminar, we actually already listened to the explanation from the Dr. Hilaire Teknan, Dr. Teknan from France. He explained about the crimes during the pandemic. A lot of kinds of criminal he already explains, but at least I got 2 points: criminal related to medical, okay, and also criminal related to racism to Asian-like people, especially Chinese-like people, because people in Europe or other part of the world thinks that the virus come from China. So every people that they think China should be responsible for this pandemic, something like that. Okay, I don't want to prolong my conversation. I will give some time to our third speaker, Dr. Yasmirah Mandasari Saragi, SMH. She is a General Treasurer of Association of Indonesian Law Professor and Doctor, Bendahara Umum, Asosiasi Profesor Dokter Indonesia from the chapter of North Sumatra, and Dr. Yasmira is also a lecturer in the Universitas Pembangunan Pancabudi. He graduated bachelor and master from Universitas Pembangunan Pancabudi and got her doctoral degree from Universitas Islam Sultan Agung Semarang. And I know she is also have a sandwich program to Nagoya University, ya, Dr. Yasmira? Dr. Yasmira? Oh, sorry. I make you co-host, so you can. Okay, wait. Dr. Yasmira?
Okay.
Okay, yeah. You got the sandwich from the Nagoya University, yeah, Dr. Yasmira? Just before the pandemic finished, yeah? Started, yeah? Yeah. So, Dr. Yasmira, I give time for you to give us your presentation and speak with the concurrence with the theme of our international online seminar, Crimes During the New Normal Pandemic COVID-19. Listen from comparison from three countries, Indonesia, Malaysia, and France. Please, Dr. Yasmira, time is yours.
Baik, terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much for our host today. Good morning, everyone. I'm very happy here as a speaker in international online seminar organized by Association of Indonesian Law Professor and Doctor with Faculty of Law Parahyangan University Bandung. Okay, the Honorable President of Association of Indonesian Law Professor and Doctor, Dr. Dini Dewi Heniarti SHM Hum, the Honorable Dean of Faculty of Law Parahyangan University, Dr. Iur Leona N. Supriyatna SHM Hum, General Secretary of Association of Indonesia Law Professor and Doctor, Dr. L. Alvis Sihombing, SHMH MM CPR CLA MIKOM, Chairman of Committee, Dr. Yeni Nuraini, SHMH MMRS, and then the Honorable all speaker today from Malaysia, Associate Professor Dr. Rojia Abu, lecturer at Faculty of Information Management UETM. Hello, Dr. Rojia, you are so pretty today. And from France, Dr. Hilary Teknan, how are you, Doctor?
I'm all right. I'm all right.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for asking.
And then Dr. Tristam Pascal Mulyono, SHMH LLM, and Mrs. Neva Claudia Melia, SHMH, Lecturer of Faculty of Law, Parahyangan University, and our host and moderator today, Dr. Haji Henry Asman, SA, SHMA MHMM. Your title is almost the same length as our General Secretary of APDHI. And the last, I love and proud all participants today reach 500 registrants. Fantastic. Okay, I will start my presentations. Okay. Detail the potential of crime in Indonesia during the pandemic COVID-19 time viewed from criminology aspect. Our Holmes state that carrying out the law is not only a matter of logic, but also experience, or the life of the law has not been logic but experience. As a Chief Justice who has extensive experience, he is well aware of how often this intervention take place. Van Dorn argued that law is a scheme designed to organize behavior human, but in reality, humans themselves often fall outside the scheme intended for them. This due to factor of experience, circumstance, education, tradition, and other that influence and so their behavior. Here, I will discuss a few things on the following topic. A, crime optic viewed from the aspect of criminology. B, crime viewed from the aspect of criminology. C, the complicity of crime during a pandemic. D, hoax crimes increased during the COVID-19 pandemic. In Malaysia, it's called fake news. Yeah. In Indonesia, hoax. The last corruption in the COVID-19 pandemic. In corruption, I not discuss too long because next speaker will discuss corruption too long, yeah? Too deep. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we going to A, crime optic viewed from the aspect of criminology. According to Bonger, criminology is a knowledge that aims to investigate the scene of crime as widely as possible. The broadcast understanding in this case implies all crimes and things related to crime. In these connections, criminology can be divided into three main parts. The first, sociology of law, scientific analysis of the condition for development of criminal law. Two, etiology of crime, a scientific analysis of the case of crime. The last, penology, crime control. Okay. Based on the definition of crime, crime can be classified into types of definition, namely one, the juridical definition of crime, which is seen from the criminal law, is any act that violates the provisions of the criminal code. And B, in practical term, crime is a violating of religious norm, customs, moral, which it live in society. Okay, in the B, crime from the aspect of criminology. Why should it be viewed from the aspect of criminology? The answer is because talking about criminology, it cannot be separated from criminal law. Criminal law contains meaning as a question related to what, who, and how. In this case, the translation of the three things is what is called a criminal act, who did it, and how to carry out the crime. Then the answer has result is in two types of criminal law, namely material criminal law and formal criminal law. Meanwhile, criminology as a science that study that case of crime can be seen from various aspects. It can be said that criminology is a question related to why and how. That is, why a person commit a crime and how efforts should be made to prevent it from happening. Then whether the criminology study can answer all then the question regarding the reason why people commit crimes. According to Marjono Reksodiputro, the current state of criminologic knowledge has not made it possible to clearly determine the reason for people committing violation of the law or norms. Today levels of criminological knowledge is still in the third stage, namely through risk and theory development. Okay, next, I will shorten my presentations. Ladies and gentlemen, C, the complexity of crime during a pandemic. Regarding the changing pattern of crime during the pandemic, Robert's study found that new form of crime has evolved to exploit the situation during the COVID-19 pandemic. This is confirmed from the view of the national police that the crime that occurred during the large-scale social restrictions or PSBB. We are also caused by people who were economically affected in the mind of the pandemic. Criminals take advantage of situation of social distancing that create a lonely environment to commit their crimes. Okay. This complexity needs to be considered by the government in the determining the priority of law enforcement actions. In a study of crime in the minds of a pandemic, there are at least 5 main categories that can be priority option during a pandemic. The one, enforcing the strict application of quarantine. 2, protect medical personnel. 3, take action against hoarding of medical equipment and selling counterfeit drugs. 4, oversee potential hoax that can trigger social conflict. And the last 5, arrest criminals who commit street crimes. Okay, many personnel from the frontline team for handling COVID-19 were exposed to the virus, which has an impact on technical implementation in the field. They themselves have stated that some of their members have been exposed to the virus, although there has been no official release regarding the total number of the victims. In this paper, I only highlight two crime, only two, yeah. They are considered very crucial in handling, namely the problem of spreading hoax news and corruption in the minds of a pandemic. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the hoax crime increased during the COVID-19 pandemic. Currently, there are so many hoax circulating in the community through online media. In Malaysia, it's called fake news. In Indonesia, hoax. Yeah? The results of research conducted by Master 2019 state that the channels that are widely used in spread hoax are websites, amounting to 34%. Chat application like WhatsApp, Line, Telegram by 62%, and through social media, example of Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pet, which are the most used media, reaching 92%. The hoax phenomenon in Indonesia is seen as causing various problems. Hoax operate more and more during the presidential general election or regional head elections. For example, in Java Street, Medan Helvetia, one family was reported to have contracted the coronavirus. So that surrounding community was afraid because the news. Finally, the police and village had intervened to clear up the news. Fake news. That's an example of how terrible the impact of this hoax. So in Indonesia, the government make a sanction about this hoax, yeah, hoax crimes. Okay, there are 3 important approaches needed to anticipate the spread of hoax news in community, which in follows. The one, the institutional approach, namely by continuing to promote the anti-hoax community, and 2, in terms of a technological approach, that is by using the Hawk Tracker application that can be used by the public to check the truth of Hawk indication news. And the last, the literacy approach, namely the anti-Hawk news movement and socialization to the community from school to the general public, which is and encouraged not only by the government but also by all levels of society, including other non-governmental institutions. And the last, corruption in pandemic COVID-19. The next speaker will discuss about corruptions very deep. So I'm shorten my presentation about corruptions. On the one hand, the CSR fund budget is 62 trillion, shows the seriousness of government in effort to prevent and handle to the already massive corona outbreak in Indonesia. However, on the other hand, the large amount of fund disbursed raise concern about misses or corruption by irresponsible parties. Finance Minister Sri Mulyani has even warned that she will take firm action against government officials who commit budget corruption to handle the spread of the COVID-19 outbreak. Okay, according to anti-corruption regulation, the threat of punishment for corruptor of the CSR fund is very dire. One of them, Article 2, Paragraph 2 of Law Number 31, year 1999, concerning eradication of corruption crimes, which even regulates the death penalty for perpetrator of corruption in disaster fund. Okay. Okay. There are a number of efforts that can be made to prevent corrupt practices in disaster relief fund, including in aid fund for handling the coronavirus, which the government will soon disburse, including the following. First, the government and law enforcement agency need to give a warning accompanied by strict sanction to officials who commit corruption in disaster relief fund. This strategy is expanded to suppress the perpetrator intention of corruption in disaster relief funds. And then second, disaster fund management must be carried out in a transparent and accountable manner. Each agency involved in disaster management must publicly announce the use of the budget and be prepared to be audited periodically. This is important to avoid suspicion as well as attempt to close the gap in corruption during the project's implementations. And the last, third, create a task force that receives complaints from the public and oversees the use of special disaster funds. The KPK and the police can form a joint team to oversee the use of disaster fund for handling the coronavirus. If corruption is found, this task force can immediately carry out an investigation process to provide an deterrence effect on disaster fund corruptions, who in turn must be prosecuted and sentenced to the heaviest sentence. Okay. I think that all my presentations. I'm sorry for if any mistake during my presentations. Thank you. for your attention. I close with wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Yasmira, for your presentation. I think she already presented very nice about what actually she is expertising in corruption crimes. Okay, it's very interesting. Corruption during pandemic. So because pandemic COVID-19, I mean, already classified as bencana nasional. Okay, it is why the institution who handle it is a BNPB, Badan Nasional Penanggulangan Bencana. So based on our regulation in Indonesia, I mean, the highest consequence, the highest penal is the death penalty, I think. But in contrary, unfortunately, our president already make perpu that already changed into undang-undang in handle the COVID, that where in the what inside this undang-undang, this act is any policy, any action taken by the government in order to handle the COVID-19 cannot be bring to the court. I mean, so it's quite contrary. I think later, after all of the presentator presented their presentation, so we can discuss, we can ask to Dr. Yasmira about this contrary maybe. Yeah, doctor?
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much for Dr. Yasmira. I think we should give her some applause for the presentation, for the nice presentation. So I don't want to prolong my conversation. I will give chance to the last but not least presentator from the Faculty of Law, Universitas Katolik Parahyangan, the Honorary Dr. Tristam Pascal Mulyono and Mrs. Neva Claudia Meliala, SHMH. Once more, I want to explain, to read about the curriculum vitae of Dr. Tristam. Dr. Tristam right now is the head of the postgraduate program, both master and doctoral program in the Faculty of Law, Catholic University of Parahyangan. Dr. Tristam finished Bachelor of Law from Parahyangan University in 1989, Master of Law from Universitas Indonesia in 1998, and second Master LLM, Lex Legume Magister from Utrecht University in 2000, and finally he got the doctoral degree from Leiden University in 2011. So I don't want to prolong my conversation. I give some times for Dr. Tristam and Mrs. Neva to make their presentation about our themes, crimes during the new normal pandemic COVID-19 in 3 countries, Indonesia, Malaysia, and France. So please, Dr. Tristam and Mrs. Neva, time is yours.
Thank you for the opportunity to be present as a speaker in this occasion. It's an honor for me and Ms. Neva. The topic I choose is for this presentation, for this occasion, is corruption in times of COVID-19, socio-legal and criminal law approach. I will be handling the socio-legal approach, and Ms. Neva, specializing in criminal law, will talk more about the criminal side of the corruption. Second slide, please. First, the introduction. Indonesia is late in acknowledging that it has faced a crisis. Only in late March, the government officially acknowledged that COVID-19 is a clear and present danger, and the response is that it should be declared national emergency. And since then, economically, Indonesia has been hard hit. Nationwide unemployment and poverty is on the rise. And as a response, as a formal response, the government reallocate and refocus state budget more approximately 700 ton for managing the crisis, health and social economic issues, and it is allocated to the social assistance policy, kebijakan bantuan sosial. And in late June, the president issued President Regulation 82, 2020, establishing a task force to handle the impact of COVID-19 to the national economy. So it's seen more as an economic rather than a health crisis. And it led me to a quick observation in response to the observation made by Dr. Tigwan. A number of phenomena in France are similar to Indonesia. Domestic crimes are also on the rise, cyber crimes are also on the rise. But interestingly, street crimes stays the same, and maybe it's more influenced by economic considerations. After this short observation, I'll come back to the focus of our discussion. First, it's about corruption before and after the COVID-19 pandemic. I start with the assumption that the current trends of common criminal cases, urban-rural, Indonesia is a big country, as reported in the news, is interestingly unaffected by the pandemic. Crime or business is as usual, and on the other hand, economic factors may be influential as push factors in the current increase of street traditional crimes. Local reports shows that an increase in street crimes. The violence is maybe shocking, but it's no more shocking than before. And rape, sexual assault, domestic violence is more or less the same numbers. Unfortunately, statistical data nationwide, urban, rural, Java, and other island is hard to get by in a short time. So my focus will be instead on corruption, defined by politicians and in the law as extraordinary crime. And specifically in Indonesia, corruption should meet the requirement. Corruption should be proven to be detrimental to the state finance and detrimental to the national economy. Next slide, please. So, corruption in the allocation of social assistance funds. What is social assistance? This is a temporary response, emergency response to alleviate suffering caused by the pandemic. So government allocate government funds and direct it to the most affected segment of society, which suffers from the pandemic economically as well as in terms of health. So next slide. And civil social assistance during the pandemic is given as provision or assistance for 9 basic necessities. And it is provided for people in Jakarta and hinterland, Bogor, Depok, Tangerang, Bekasi. Unfortunately, there is no information about how it is in other regions. It is is also in the form of financial temporary relief, cash given to non-Jakarta citizens or for rural areas, and is also in the form of suspension of electricity bills, pre-employment card, subsidized employee salaries, and cash assistance for micro and small businesses. And so there is a cash allocated to the regional and the central government to be used for the social assistance funds. Next slide, please. And meanwhile, it can be shown that the government stance against corruption is weakening. So notwithstanding formal denials, KPK has been weakened seriously, and it shows the weakening commitment of the government towards corruption eradication. It also shows that there is a backdoor dealings between political parties, how to deal with corruption cases. And the allocation of social assistance fund is more prone to corruption because of this factor, the weakening commitment of government to eradicate corruption. Next slide, please. And it's also important to note in this context that misappropriation of government funds in times of emergency like this pandemic, and also in the context of the allocation of the social assistance funds, should justify a more severe penal sanction, a more severe penal stance against those who misappropriate this fund allocated to alleviate suffering of the most affected by the pandemic. Arguably, corruption committed during a health and economic crisis should be treated more seriously, and perpetrators face harsher criminal sanction. And Indonesia, as the law, as we can read the positive law, capital punishment is the hardest punishment imaginable, which can be used against perpetrators. Next slide, please. Another factor which make it difficult or which influence government stance against misappropriation of this social emergency funds is law number 2 of 2020, which actually suspends or give some additional argument not to pursue corruption or misappropriation of these social funds for relief. As an emergency temporary response, normal supervision and reporting measures are relaxed, and thus it creates more opportunity for people, government officials, including citizens, to misappropriate or mismanagement the social funds provided for the emergency relief. And the law also give exception to the general rule. The requirement that corruption should be detrimental to the state finance or the state economy is not considered applicable. And also there is also a backdoor. Public officials, as long as they are presumed to be acting in good faith, are protected against civil and criminal lawsuits if they are suspected of being suspected of mismanage the funds. And in addition, how the fund is used or is allocated is done without any parliament oversight, or the parliament oversight is being bypassed because this is an emergency situation and parliament may or is given the right to look at it after the funds has been allocated. Next slide, please. So the point I want to make in this presentation is the policy of Bansos is prone or creating ample opportunities for misappropriation or in terms of criminal law corruption in the form of embezzlement, fraud, misappropriation of allocated funds, in the form of kickbacks and illegal management fees, price markup, because one form of Bansos is provision of 9 basic necessities, and also fictitious beneficiaries. And this indicates a weak governance, inability, incompetence to work based on hard data of who should be the beneficiary of this Bansos or social funding. And last but not least, the Bansos creates also the opportunity for political parties to sluice, to misappropriate available funds to other political ends like political campaigning. And this is more relevant because now in these months, Indonesia entered the general election period for local political parties. And there is the opportunity of funds and the need for political campaigning. And so they can misappropriate these funds for political campaigning. And next slide, please. And as reported, there is already an indication of widespread systematic and committed mismanagement, misappropriation in the form of cooperation, coordination of public officials at all levels. So it's a joint enterprise. Corruption in Indonesia parlance, it is korupsi berjamaah or corruption done by everybody. So the news reported that there are already, or the police already suspect that there are 102 cases in Jakarta alone, or and in North Sumatra, there's also the highest number. So this is data taken from the news. Unfortunately, it is hard to get by other data confirming or answering the question whether the police or the public prosecutors already pursued the case before the court. So the police data from the police already indicates that the potential is already actually happening. So Bansos has already been misappropriated. Next slide, please. And the point of debate, and here comes the analysis of Ms. Neva, specializing in criminal law.
Okay.
Okay, please, Ms. Neva, time is yours.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Pak Tristam. Good morning to all panelists, participants, as well as the organizing committee. Thank you for the opportunity given to me to deliver my point of view regarding issues we are discussing today. The first speaker had delivered his point of view from social legal approach, and I will continue our presentation from a criminal law approach. I'm going back first to the law number 2 of 2020. Along with the increasing cases of COVID-19 in Indonesia, The President of the Republic of Indonesia stipulated Law Number 2, year 2020, previously regulations of the government in lieu of Law Number 1, year 2020 on state financial and the stability of the financial system policies for the mitigations of coronavirus disease or COVID-19 pandemic, and or to deal with threats that are potentially harmful to the national economy and or the stability of the financial system. Article 27 of this regulation states in paragraph 1 that costs that have been incurred by the government and so on for the purpose of the implementations of state revenue policies, a national economic recovery program shall be a part of economic costs to rescue the economy from crisis and not a state loss. That's going to be our first problem. And then in the paragraph 2, it states that officials who are related to the implementations of this regulation shall not be prosecuted based on both civil and criminal procedures if the implementations of their duties is based on good faith and in accordance with laws and regulations. And according to those articles, just like what Pak Tristam had explained before, there are some important points to note. There is exception to the general rule detrimental to the state finances or the state economy are not considered applicable in this case. And then public officials, as long as they are presumed to be acting in good faith, are protected against civil as well as criminal lawsuits. And then this part has also been explained by Pak Tristam that state fund allocated for the social assistance is very prone to be corrupted, so it must be controlled carefully. And that's the main reason why we choose corruption instead of any other crimes possibly happened during this pandemic to be discussed further. Talking about Law Number 2, year 2020 is quite debatable since those who are agree with this regulation will think that these regulations will be able to protect public officials with good faith and allowing public officials to make speedy decisions on the basis of their discretionary powers, and these regulations will also give the legal certainty. But for those who are disagree with this regulation will think that legal protections given by the law could be misused. This regulations is also considered counterproductive to the effort to prevent and eradicate corruption, and also creating the impressions of public officials' impunity and being above the law. Indonesia corruption eradication law also states that in the event that corruption is committed under certain circumstances, capital punishment may be applied. Certain circumstances is defined by the law as the condition that may serve as a reason for meting out heavier punishment to those embezzling funds for the control of emergency state, national disaster, widespread social unrest, as well as economic and monetary crisis. Indonesia has some experiences regarding corruption during disaster or crisis, but capital punishment has never been implemented yet up to this moment. If we refer to the data from Indonesia Corruption Watch, for example, there are some corruption happened during the crisis, like BLBI case in 1998 that caused around 138 trillion rupiah state loss, and then Bank Century 6.7 trillion rupiah state loss, Nias disaster, Palu earthquake, up to bird flu or avian influenza pandemic that caused around 12.3 billion rupiah state loss. If we refer to law enforcement practices, there are actually some Supreme Court precedents regarding corruption that mention as long as it could be proven that the actions taken by the public officials have served public interest, no personal gain has been obtained, and no economic loss has been suffered by the state, those actions could not be considered as corruption. We could find those considerations, for example, in Mahruz Effendi case as the very first case that we always talk about when we talk about corruptions, especially when we talk about unlawful act in a material sense, in a negative way, negative function. Some others' verdict also explore about business judgment rule as a justification. So the question arises now is, should the law explicitly mention that public officials shall not be prosecuted if the implementations of their duty is based on good faith, considering maybe this could create the opportunity of misappropriation. I think that's all from me. I will stop here and give the opportunity back to Pak Tristam to give the conclusion for our presentation.
So that part is the explanation from a criminal law point about the corruption, whether to enforce or not for the bansos misappropriation actions. So in conclusion, there are a number of conclusions. So realization or implementation of the bansos social assistance policy creates a situation, a condition where misappropriation or corruption is easily done. It is a push factor for the corruption. And it shows also that the mishandling of the pandemic in general shows the weakness of the government in terms of management. And it also creates ample opportunity for corruption and other sectors as well. And apparently slow government response to allegation of corruption, or already talk about that, in the police already suspect or indicates that there are a number of corruption cases, but we never know how it went on and whether the public prosecutors already proceed with prosecution. But the slow response may be an important factor in sustaining the widely held belief that government officials and politicians enjoy wrongful legal immunity and impunity. And this also influenced the way citizens look at government officials and how government officials' policies, also which are made in good faith, are treated as suspect by the citizens. And the other part of the danger is that this belief, of citizens toward the government also creates the situation where society at large accept bureaucratic government corruption as normal, even in times of emergency. And this all is a serious threat to efforts at developing good governance and building reciprocal trust between citizens and government officials. That's the corruption from the point made in this presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Tristam and also Mrs. Neva for your presentation. I think it's very interesting. It's related to what Dr. Yasmira already explained about corruption also during the pandemic. But I want to note one word that may be quite important. At one side is important, the other side is maybe source of the problems. It's called bansos. Yeah, it's part of from the explanation of Dr. Tristam and Mrs. Neva. From the point of view of COVID handling, it's very important to help people who have a decrease in economy to save their life. But in other side, Dr. Tristam and Mrs. Neva also already explained, there is a tendency to become a mismanagement for this kind of bansos or social assistance, something like that. Then Dr. Tristam and Mrs. Neva also already explained what I curious before. It's about the sentence in the new regulation that exclude government official from the corruption suit during the pandemic if they issued policy to handle the COVID, something like that. Then one of the kind of the policy that the government officers can be issue is about the bansos itself. Okay, thank you very much for once more. Thank you very much for Dr. Tristam and Mrs. Neva, who already give presentation about the crimes during the pandemic, especially for the corruptions. I think we should give some applause, very big applause for both of them, Dr. Tristam and Mrs. Neva. Thank you very much, Dr. Tristam and Mrs. Neva. Okay, I think we already heard a presentation from at least 5 presentators. Dr. Dini, even not live, Professor Rozia, then Dr. Teknan, Dr. Yasmira, and the last but not least, Dr. Tristam and Mrs. Neva. So I think we can move to the next session. It's the question and answer sessions from the attendants, from the audience, from the participant of this international online seminar. I think the committee already give the question for the presentator. Okay, while you get the question from the audience, I will read some question that already get in to the committee from the participants. First question is for Professor Rozia. Are you there, Professor Rozia?
I'm still here.
Okay. Professor, the committee already got one question at least for you, okay, from Mrs. Emi Latifa, I think. Yes. She is from 11 Maret University.
Yes.
He asked you, Doctor, since he was visiting professor for 2 years in UNS, I would like, I would like to ask Doctor. She called you Dr. Abu, but I call you Dr. Rozia, yeah. Okay. What is the difference between fake news and hate speech crime based on Malaysian regulation, and what is the limitation so that fake news can become hate speech? So the professor, there is 2 things: fake news and hate speech. What is the difference based on Malaysian rules? Okay, please, Professor.
Thank you very much, Dr. Henry. I've actually answered Dr. Emma's question online just now, but anyway, I'll just recall back my answers. Now, in Malaysia, fake news and this other one, hate speech, right? Hate speech crime, it falls under 2 different acts. Where fake news, we falls under the Anti-Fake News Act 2018, and meanwhile, the one the hate speech crime or hate speech act falls under the Sedition Act 1948. Now, what makes it different is that when it comes to sedition, it refers to mostly a conduct of speech of an individual where it purposely try to incite others to rebel or create sense of hate. So that is under the Sedition Act 1948. Meanwhile, on the Fake News Act, it refers towards the inaccurate falsification of data and information of sharing. So in general, that is the main difference that we look into when we talk about fake news and hate crime speech.
Okay, so it means in Malaysia there is two separate regulation for these two kind of criminal acts?
Yes, there are two sets of different. In fact, we have several more, but it depends on the definition of the sedition also.
Okay, and during the pandemic, the most happens is the fake news, yeah, Professor?
At the moment, yeah, we very much applied on the Fake News Act at the moment.
Okay, yeah, like what we already discussed before, yeah, Professor. Some they send the news not based on the true event, but just emotionally, yeah.
Exactly. I think people are annoyed staying at home. That's why. I'm annoyed sometimes.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much, Professor Rozia, for your explanation. I will move to the second question. Second question, I think, is for third speaker, not for three speaker, Dr. Yasmira, and also for Dr. Tristam and Mrs. Neva. Dr. Yasmira and Dr. Tristam and Dr. Mrs. Neva, you already got the question?
Okay, okay.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, I will read the question for three of you. Okay, the question is, as you all profusely said that during COVID outbreak period, cybercrime is getting increased, specifically on data privacy breach, since we put longer time spent online. For lots of activity, work, education, entertainment, shopping, and etc., is there any effort taken from government and or law enforcement institution by your country, Indonesia, Malaysia, and from, I mean, it's also, the question is also for Dr. Teknan, to protect your citizens not to entangled with cybercrime, since we know that not all citizens have the same knowledge to handle their private data properly. Many thanks for your valuable explanation. So I think this question is not only for three speakers, but also for all speakers. It means I can conclude that during the COVID, we use internet, we use online very much. So, but not all of us who use this online, this internet, have proper protection for his or her data, property, and etc. So what the action taken by the government in all countries, I mean, Malaysia, Indonesia, and France, I think. So I think it's first, I give a chance for Dr. Yasmira to answer the question.
Okay. Thank you very much. For host, okay, I try to answer this question from Mr. Jonathan Sintong, SMT. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Jonathan Sintong, for your question for me. I try to answer your questions. In Indonesia, cybercrime is not a new crime. One example is that because of the public ignorance of the importance of maintaining the confidentiality of their account and personal identity, some people have become victim of fraud by cyber criminals. And fraudulent emails, SMS, message on social media asking for item order code, credit card numbers, PIN numbers, etc. Often answered innocently without further verifications. And then thought it is very risky, but all people not know it, but it's very rich. So That's the government made in Indonesia. Government in Indonesia made law number 11 of 20 and 08 concerning internet and electronic transaction, or we call it ETA, yeah, to overcome cybercrime. That so I think with the government made law number 11 of 20 and 08, we hope cybercrime not to very high to the crime in Indonesia again. I think that's my answer. Thank you, Mr. Jonathan Sintong, SMT.
Okay, sorry. Thank you, Dr. Yasmira, for your answer. I think maybe Dr. Tristam and Mr. Neva can, I mean, it's not directly with your presentation, but I think you can give additional perspective about what actually Indonesian government have to do. Yeah, at the same, at one times, they push people to work from home using internet and online. And other side, it is enough protection for the data, for the property of the user of the internet, Dr. Tristam and Mr. Neva?
A quick response is that, okay, we are more now dependent on the internet. There are also already in place cyber crimes, protecting people from crimes using the internet. But the extent of what actually happens is still fake. We have not yet obtained data, sufficient data to ascertain what and how is the vulnerability and what crimes has rise during this pandemic. We can ascertain that the vulnerability is increasing, but what crimes is committed is not yet apparent. We have no sufficient data, but the government has already put in place, even before the pandemic, laws and regulations in the context of cyber crimes.
Okay.
But I'm not specializing in this particular segment of law, so I can only give you a general answer.
Okay, thank you very much.
Eva can add some points.
Yes, please, Dr. Neva, Mr. Neva, do you have any other perspective?
Okay, thank you, Pak Jonathan Sintong, for the question. But to be honest, I also not, this is not my areas of expertise regarding the cybercrime, but probably I could say that beside Undang-Undang ITE, law regarding information and electronic transaction, the government is also trying to make a new law called RUU Perlindungan Data Pribadi, Private Data Protection, but up to this moment, it's still the draft. So that's probably going to be my very general answer, that actually there is an effort done by the government to protect, because the question arises from Pak Jonathan is regarding the protections of private data. So that's the latest information that we achieved, that the government tried to create the new law regarding private data protection. Maybe that's...
Okay, so do you mean it's need more effort from the parliament and the government to make the UU Perlindungan Data become real, yeah? And because the use of the virtual data protection is a very much need, is needed by all people right now, yeah, Mrs. Neva?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Yasmira, Dr. Tristam, and Mrs. Neva. And I think also Dr. Teknan, can you explain, give some perspective in front, I think, about the data stealing, protection of the data of the people data, and also the property, the account, the bank account, and something like that in France, especially during the pandemic, because all of people cannot work directly, but use computer, internet, or virtually. Dr. Teknan?
Thank you. Thank you, moderator, Mr. Eric. I think it's in Europe, there are two legal frameworks. Framework number one is the law of May 25th, 2018. That's about the general regulation on the protection of data. Besides that, you also have the law of the year 2016, if I'm not mistaken. It's been in force since the 27th of April 2016. So these legal frameworks requires companies that are based in Europe, not companies based overseas, but just in Europe, that collect data on individuals. So these companies have, they must first report. They have to respect the simple principles. They have to make sure that the data of people are kept during certain times, and they have to notify the individual whose data has been collected. So there's a whole set of regulation that are in place to control the use of data. But make no mistake, France, or like any other country in Europe, is committed to the freedom of expression, the freedom of information. So government does its best in France not to limit, not to place limitation on the people in terms of expression, in terms of information, in terms of searching. So it is quite difficult for the government to control all these entities that are making use of the information collected on people. Like I said in my presentation, you cannot prevent all these transactions, all these data collection because of the commitment to the European Union not to breach this freedom. So but just to keep in mind that there are two regulations in Europe that really protect the rights of privacy for the people. So this is what I can maybe offer as a response. We have two regulations, the region of 2016 and that the recent one in 2018 tries to compare companies to respect the rights, the right to privacy of the citizen. Thank you very much. I hope I answered your question.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Teknan. I think we already got perspective from France. And the last from Dr. Rozia, any other increase in the data stealing or data hacking, something like that, Doctor, in Malaysia during this COVID?
Well, in this reality, currently in Malaysia, there is some issue on data stealing and data usage, misuse of data and things like that. There is. But because you see, with SOP, with the security operational procedure, we are required to actually share at least our name, our mobile number and things like that, so that it can be recorded. So there was and there is currently issues on data protection. However, due to this situation, the Core Front Act that being used throughout this pandemic is actually our Malaysian Data Protection Act 2020. Now, even though the Data Protection Act is actually the core front of the Act's usage nowadays in Malaysia. This Data Protection Act was gazetted in June 2010. It was already there in 2010. And somehow, when it comes to this Data Protection Act, the non-compliance penalty will be between 100,000 ringgit Malaysia to 500,000 ringgit Malaysia, and imprisonment up to 3 years. And due to this COVID pandemic, there was a review done to the Personal Data Protection Act, and that's why it's called Data Protection Act 2020. And with this act, the government strictly monitoring and observing procedure under all the 8 phases of the Malaysian Movement Control Order. And I won't say it never happened. The cases are still there. The cases are still there. And we are lucky enough because we have that data gazetted as early as 2010 before. I hope I answered the question.
Okay. Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Rozia, for the answer. We already got three perspectives about the data stealing, data hacking, account hacking during the pandemic among Indonesia, Malaysia, and also France. And the last but not least question, I think this is a very it's a very interesting question, especially for Dr. Tristam and Mrs. Neva. I don't know, you already got the question from Mr. Shahranuddin. Okay, Dr. Tristam, Mr. Neva.
Shahranuddin or Luciana?
Oh yeah, Luciana. Sorry, Luciana.
Luciana.
Yeah.
A quick answer is, of course, it is not to be considered as corrupt, because it's a matter of amount of money to be distributed. It only shows that the government inefficiency of a government, because they don't have data about how many people are affected and how many amounts are to be distributed to alleviate their suffering. The small number to be distributed means only that data has not been used as a basis for the bansos distribution. Maybe Ms. Neva can add some answer from a criminal law point.
Okay. Thank you, Lucy, for the question. Lucy is my friend from UNS. Okay, I would like to take this opportunity to try to answer her question. Just like what I have said before, that actually if we refer to some Supreme Court decisions, we could find that in some court verdict, especially when we talk about Mahros Effendi case, for example, that specifically talking about unlawful act in material sense and negative function, as long as it could be proven that public officials have served public interest, no personal gain has been obtained, and no economic loss has been suffered by the state, it could not be considered as corruption. So just like what I have explained before also, that law number 2 year 2020, at one side it's trying to give the legal protection for those public officials with good faith. And if we refer to Lucy's case, the case that Lucy gives to us, that qualification that I have just mentioned before is fulfilled, and of course it could not be categorized as corruption. So my point is whether Article 27, paragraph 1 as well as paragraph 2 is explicitly mentioned that statements, or we don't have that law, we still have a doctrine and court precedents that could actually explain, as long it could be proven that good faith exists, it means that there is no mens rea. The absence of mens rea means that someone could not be punished under criminal law. Maybe that's my answer, and hopefully that could answer your question, Lucy.
Thank you, Mrs. Neva. Dr. Tristam, I myself have a curiosity. What do you think? It's quite big issue a few times ago that in other side, corruption during disaster, death penalty. But in other side, in one side like that, in other sides, government make perpu that exclude corruption for the government official who make a policy to handling COVID-19. It's like contrary. What do you think, Dr. Tristam? Thank you.
Maybe it's about economic considerations, because if you pursue any corruption also in times of emergency, you you also have to allocate some money for the prosecution or the police investigation, and the money is needed for the relief. So corruption is considered part of the transaction cost. So maybe it's some kind of, okay, this is a discretionary power. Let's not pursue corruption cases in times of emergency, because the money is more needed for the relief rather than to be allocated for prosecution of corruption. Maybe it's just economic considerations.
So it means it's like something like temporary, doctor? I mean, yeah, just during the pandemic because of the operational, the economic reason, yeah?
Yes, I think so. I think so. But it needs further study, because any answers given here is a hypothesis.
Okay. Any other comments from Mrs. Neva?
Maybe that's all from me. Yeah, the main point is whether we have that regulation or not. Actually, if we refer to the doctrine, the study from criminal law, we have some theories that could explain that as long as it could be proven that mens rea is not exist in certain circumstances, then it could not be considered as crime.
Okay. So it means like business judgment rule. So it's government judgment rule, something like that, yeah?
Business judgment rule for the... okay.
So government judgment rule, something like that.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much for all of the speaker, keynote speaker, and the committee. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, all of the participants, all of the audience, and the attendants of this international online seminar with the themes of crimes during the new normal pandemic COVID-19, comparison between three countries, Indonesia, Malaysia, and France. We already together during three hours. I think it's more than a little bit more than 3 hours. So even we want to get together in more time. I mean, it's already 3 hours. Then I want to. I need to end this online seminar. Once more, I want to send my thank you on behalf of the committee. First of all, I want to thanks to our keynote speaker, Dr. Dini Dewi Heniarti, as the president of the Association of Indonesian Law Professors and Doctors. Unfortunately, this morning she cannot join directly with us, just only with a recorded speak. And also my thanks to our speakers, Associate Professor Dr. Rozia Abu from UITM Malaysia. I think, Doctor, sometimes we can make some online seminar with your campus later.
Will do, inshallah.
Okay. And hopefully you will not will agree to if us ask you to join in our other seminar, Doctor.
Sure, will do. Thank you very much. I'm honored.
And also thank you for Dr. Hilary Teknan. Dr. Teknan, thank you very much for your presentation and for your perspective especially about the COVID pandemic, especially in your country, France. Dr. Teknan. Thank you very much. Okay. And also thank you for Dr. Yasmira Mandasari for your presentation and your speak.
You're welcome, Dr.
Yeah, please, someday if I ask you to join our seminar, please join us. Okay. And also, last but not least, for the duo presentator, it's very nice about the corruption during the pandemic from the Universitas Katolik Parahyangan, Faculty of Law, Dr. Tristam, and also Mrs. Neva. Thank you very much for your presentation. I think later we can talk much, and please join us if someday we ask you to join the seminar, Doctor and Mrs. Neva. And also thank you for the Honorable Dean of the Faculty of Law of Universitas Katolik Parahyangan, the Honorable Dr. Iuris Leona Nanang Supriyatna. Thank you very much, Doctor.
You're welcome. Thank you for all participants and all speakers, and especially for you, this best moderator and the best.
Okay. Okay. And also thank you for our Secretary General, Dr. Alvis Xiaoming. Thank you very much, Doctor.
Okay, thank you, moderator.
Okay. And last but not least, for the chairman of the committee, Dr. Yeni Nuraini. Thank you very much, Doctor. Okay, I think maybe some problems. And of course, thank you very much on behalf of me, myself, or on behalf of the speaker, on behalf of the committee. Thank you very much for you all, ladies and gentlemen, Bapak Ibu, any professor, doctor, the audience, the attendants, the participant of this seminar. I know that there is a lot of participants. Some is more senior than me, something like professor. Thank you very much. Attend this seminar, international online seminar. Thank you for hearing this presentation. Thank you already give some question to the speaker. Hopefully you can join to the other seminar, other webinar that made by the committee. Thank you very much. And to end this seminar, I want to thanks to God in my region, Islam. Alhamdulillahirrahmanirrahim. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat siang, good day. Have a nice day for today and the next.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good, good.
Thank you, Dr. Rojia.
Thank you,
Terima kasih. Terima kasih. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih. Medan, Horas Medan.
Horas Medan. Halo Ito Dokter. Halo Pak Dekan.
Mantap. Mantap, luar biasa, Medan.
Okay, committee, you can stop the recording, so we can talk the recording and the live in YouTube, so we can talk informally. Ya dok, ya dokter Nana.
Siap.
Okay.
Wow. Topik kubuy.
Stop the recording, stop the online, the live in YouTube. Sehat dokter Nanang?
Sehat. Alhamdulillah. Gimana?
Ya, sehat. Saya nge-hostnya dari Batam ini.
Oh iya.
Iya. Kalau sehat kapan main-main ke Batam, dokter?
Ya pasti. Kalau sudah COVID-nya udah pergi.
Gimana Bandung, dokter?
Di Bandung ya COVID-nya makin naik, makin naik. Ya, zona hitam semua ini. Zona merah. Ya, Jakarta Bandung kan dekat, jadi penyebarannya mengerikan. Ya. Gitu.
Topinya bagus Pak Dekan.
Makasih. Ini soalnya saya botak nih kalau dibuka.
Tinggal naik kuda aja nanti.
Itu sekjen bagus kacamatanya.
Oh, ini kacamata COVID, anti COVID.
Oh, iya.
Anti COVID biar enggak. Tuh, Bu Yeni nggak bisa ngomong, katanya nggak bisa dibuka itunya.
Oh iya. Stikernya apanya Bang?
Stikernya kayaknya. Coba.
Bang Henry tuh yang pegang.
Apa ya? Oh alah, enggak. Bisa kok. Saya kan udah jadikan Bu Yeni co-host.
Nggak bisa katanya.
Ini udah co-host nih.
Oke.
Oh ini bisa.
Oke, nanti seminar yang akan datang tentang apa?
Nah, tadi nggak bisa jawab habisnya. Bagaimana? Nggak bisa bunyi. Ini nggak bisa dibuka unmute-nya. Bikin lagi, Pak kan seminar berikutnya. Internasional. Ayo.
Siap.
Englishnya Bu Neva yang hari ini paling oke.
Iya, bagus sekali.
Bagus, keren ini.
Saya sudah 2 kali jadi moderator. Anehnya selalu ketemu yang paling terakhir pembicaranya tuh Englishnya very well.
Pronunciation-nya memang profesional.
Iya. Saya kalau tutup
Semua juga
muka Bu
bagus.
Neva ini saya kirain entah dari mungkin pengajar dari University of Southampton kali.
Karena sudah terbiasa mungkin Dr. Henry. Kalau saya kan itu dari Cianjur, jadi lidah oncom.
Harus digosok itu lidahnya pakai emas. Biar kayak burung beo.
Oke. Thank
Ya,
you
ya.
very much.
Thank you.
Terima kasih
Terima
semuanya
kasih ya.
ya.
Luar
Dari
biasa.
Medan, terima kasih.
Terima kasih banyak.
Merah, Dr. Henry.
Malaysia, French,
Bang Liona,
Unpar,
terima kasih semuanya.
Unicom, Dr. Saad Maruli,
Semoga kita akan bertemu
Bapak
di
Prof.
seminar
Effendi.
selanjutnya.
Amin ya Allah, amin.
Ya, luar
Terus ya
biasa.
Pak Dokter.
Ya, oke, sip.
Ya, pamit ya.
Pamit.
Ya pamit ya, izin.
Ya.
Yuk.
Slide Bapak Ibu, terima kasih banyak.
Ya, Bu Neva, terima kasih ya.
Luar biasa.
Terima kasih Pak Dr.
Keren banget.
Terima kasih banyak, sampai ketemu lagi.
Dr.
Tadi ada
Tristan, terima kasih juga.
ada yang mau IU nggak itu untuk yang berikut?
Ya.
Illegal unreported.
Oh iya benar. Ngomong. Dia bilang itu. Soalnya sekarang itu yang lagi itu ya.
Lagi tren ya.
Lagi tren.
Yang nggak ketahuan ya.
Lanjut.
Ya benar.
Tuh
Tristan
dari
hari ini Pak Dokter Tristan.
kenapa Bu? Baik Bu.
Dari IU itu ya.
Ya, dari Profesor Effendi itu.
Benar. Tapi menterinya lagi sakit katanya.
Ya, tapi
Ya,
kan
Prof. Menterinya sakit ya, Prof?
belum unmute ya.
Oh, belum unmute. Enggak ini.
Habis
ya.
Oke.
Pamit duluan ya.
Ya, mau lanjut ini, mau lanjut.
Mau rapat itu kampus.
Kampus.
Ya.
Rapat dosen.
Ya kalau bisa IU kan menarik juga karena bisa bicara dengan orang Malaysia ya. Ya kita bisa lihat perspektif dari Malaysia. Kan kita sering sekali bentrok tuh urusan ikan dengan Malaysia.
Ide bagus itu Pak Dokter.
Dari Profesor Effendi itu yang tadi ngangkat. Pak Effendi Sitanggang ya. Ya, mari kita pikirkan kan sekarang gampang bikin webinar gini ya.
Iya. Nanti kita bahas di APDHI.
Betul. Silakan.
Siap Pak Dokter.
Sip.
Terima kasih banyak.
Terima kasih banyak. Saya pamit ya.
Baik Pak Dokter.
Terima kasih banyak sudah diundang.
Sama-sama Pak Dokter. Terima kasih banyak luar biasa tadi.